edition. But first, many timeshare owners are very upset because their yearly dues have nearly doubled. Well, Lone Star will guarantee the release of all liability to your timeshare in writing and in a specific time frame. With their A-plus rating at the Better Business Bureau, clients know that Lone Star Transfer is a company you could trust. For a free consultation, please go to lonestartransfer.com or call 855-551-7066. On this Wednesday, the Idaho College murders again point out how evil is on the rise in America. That is because of new progressive leadership that does not want to punish criminals, but mostly because the USA is becoming a very secular country. Now remember, the Constitution is based on Judeo-Christian philosophy. In the rotunda of the Supreme Court in Washington, D.C., on display is a sculpture of the Ten Commandments. Why? Because our laws and our freedoms are based upon Judeo-Christian philosophy, not religion, philosophy. And when that philosophy diminishes, particularly when it comes to good and evil, then evil acts rise. And we're seeing it almost every week in the news. Mass murders of children at schools. Incredible crime in the inner cities by drug gangs. And now this Idaho situation where it looks like a young man, for no reason, went in and brutally stabbed 4 college students to death. Again, for no reason. This is evil. Back in a moment. No question, there is a concerted effort to intimidate and silence conservative thinkers and replace our God-given individual liberty with big government controls. AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, is the leading conservative advocacy and benefits organization in America. AMAC gives you access to exclusive benefits and all kinds of great content. Please stand with AMAC at amac.us. That's amac.us. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm News 4 meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. After a record-setting temperature yesterday, a cold front overnight dropped temperatures today to more seasonable for this time of year. So we're feeling the January cold, temperatures topping out near 42 degrees, light wind, and overall we'll have partly sunny skies. Now for the next couple of days, we're enjoying a dry weather, but watch the weekend, showers return Saturday. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. Let's get the conversation started, St. Louis. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
So we have a new Congress, but we don't have a new Speaker of the House to run it, in a very precarious situation for the Republicans. Excuse me. That's the way to start off today. It is 5:33, getting ahead of myself here. I'm Mike Ferguson. We had a really, really enlightening conversation with former Trump economic advisor and FreedomWorks senior official, I guess Ken would be the way to put it. Stephen Moore was with us. And when you look at what's at stake with the Republicans, not just getting it together, but getting it right, he had a lot to offer. Here's what he had to say on Tuesday's program.
When you look at the new year, a new Congress is meeting, and we're going to get to the, kerfuffle over picking a speaker, but Republicans in the House in particular have a very, very tall task, and the Republicans in the Senate are not making that much easier.
Yeah.
Especially the leader, Mitch McConnell. Joined now by Stephen Moore. Obviously, you know him from FreedomWorks and in his articles on Fox News and Forbes and everywhere else, and was senior economic advisor to President Donald Trump. Stephen, first of all, Happy New Year. Glad to have you back on the program. What do you make of? Give me your reaction to the fact that later on, Mitch McConnell is going to have a joint press conference to brag about the Biden spending plan and economic plan in Kentucky. What the heck?
Well, good morning, guys, and Happy New Year to you as well. And good riddance to 2022, which was a horrific year for the economy and for the stock market and for investors. Look, what happened at the end of 2022, I've come on your show many times in the past year or two and really bashed Biden and Pelosi and Chucky Schumer for their reckless financial behavior. But what happened at the end of, in the last couple of weeks of last year, you can't blame that just on the Democrats. I mean, the Republicans in the Senate were in on this heist, this financially catastrophic bill that passed that is exactly the opposite of what Republicans promised, that they would get control of the budget. And I had not heard that. Is it true that Mitch McConnell is having a press conference celebrating this god-awful bill?
Yeah, I've seen it in in multiple hours. Later on today, Joe Biden is going to Kentucky, and they are going to have a joint press conference to talk about the infrastructure spending.
Oh my God. I mean, that's just sickening. We have the American economy is in big trouble right now, and I don't want to be a Debbie Downer 2 days after New Year's, but look, we're in a lot of trouble, folks. I mean, the trillions and trillions of dollars of excessive spending, and by the way, government doesn't stimulate anything. All government does is shrink the size of the private sector, because the only way that the government can give you a dollar is to take a dollar away from me and other people. And so to not recognize the fact that we have a cancer in Washington, and that cancer is out of control spending and debt. The debt just recently went over $32 trillion. When I first came to Washington, by the way, just to give you some perspective, I arrived in 1984, so I'm a little older than you think, but the debt then was a little over $1 trillion. Now it's $32 trillion. I mean, this is insanity, and to celebrate the financial irresponsibility of Congress is really beyond the pale.
Good morning, Stephen. Gabe Pfeiffer here. So, what's your economic outlook for 2023, given the new spending bill, the basically unstoppable inflation at this point? And I imagine we're still going to be seeing some rising costs due to many other factors. Yeah. It feels as though we're going to go into a pretty not so fun economic recession. What do you think?
I don't think a recession is inevitable, although the majority of economists do think we're going to have a recession this year. I still think if Republicans get back to doing what they in the next few days, a new speaker will probably be designated. I don't know if it's going to be McCarthy or it might be Steve Scalise, but it will be a Republican speaker, and that means for the first time in 2 years you'll have some checks and balances on the outrageous behavior of the Democrats and their financial catastrophe that they've created with it. By the way, just so your listeners understand, the reason we got inflation that went up to 9% last year was that we were spending and borrowing so much money. I call it like helicopter money. It was like the government was just throwing $100 bills out the window, and that obviously causes inflation. That's what third world countries do. And so we have to get the inflation rate down. And how are they doing that? They're not stopping the spending, which is the thing that they have to do, but obviously there was no appetite for cutting spending. So that forces the Federal Reserve Board to raise interest rates to try to suck some of that money out of the economy. Well, look what's happened to the housing sector. The housing sector has really gone from being the engine of growth for the U.S. economy over the last couple of years to now being a big drag. I mean, the housing construction, housing permits, new home sales, all of that is falling. And so I think we've got some problems ahead. I talked to one of the leading employers in the country. He runs one of the biggest temporary employment agencies in the country with 600,000 workers that they put to work. He said that by November of last year, their orders just started falling fast. So my advice to people out there, if you've been thinking about getting a job, if you've been on the sideline for the last 2 or 3 years, get a job now while they're available, because I think you're going to start to see the unemployment rate rise as the economy contracts a bit.
We are visiting with Stephen Moore. And Stephen, you just mentioned the whole situation with the speaker. Republicans got to figure this out pretty quick. But what's at stake, not just when they do the vote or the votes, but what's at stake beyond that when it comes to the Republicans having a need to have a plan and a leader to push back against the other chamber and the White House?
Yeah, first of all, it's sad that, the Republicans in the Senate kind of cut a deal with Chuck Schumer, and they cut the Republicans out of the deal in the House. So there's a war going on between the House Republicans and the Senate Republicans. And incidentally, it's not just Mitch McConnell. There were over 20 Senate Republicans who out of 50 who voted for that rancid spending package. They don't get it. Now, you ask, what is the job? First of all, what is the number one job for the Republicans in the House? Remember, Joe Biden cannot spend as president one single penny without the approval of the House of Representatives. So they have essentially a one-house veto. And so what I met with the House Republicans a couple of weeks ago, I said, your job number one is to cut $1 trillion out of this budget as a down payment to getting us back somewhere near a balanced budget. Whether they'll do that, I can't say. Now, right now, it appears that it's going to be either McCarthy. And I'd say McCarthy is probably got about a 60% chance of winning. And if it's not McCarthy, I think it would probably go to Steve Scalise, who's a strong conservative. And I prefer Scalise, but I think either one would be good. But then Republicans just have to hold the line on spending. And if they do that, maybe we can see some financial sanity restored in Washington.
With the omnibus, if I can say the word, bill.
I call it the omnibusted.
Yeah, omnibusted.
Busted our country.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. Now, with the omnibusted bill expiring in September, what do you think that outlook is for the Republican Congress to actually do something?
So that's a very important question. So at some point, this late summer or fall, there will be a come to Jesus moment. There will be a stare down between Joe Biden, who wants to spend every penny that he can possibly get his hands on, and Republicans, who are supposed to be the party of fiscal responsibility. And that will come down to raising the debt ceiling. It will come down to the Democrats threatening to shut down the government if they don't get their way. And I want to say this loud and clear and early, just January 2nd. So 6 months in advance of this fight, Republicans cannot blink. They cannot say, "Oh no, gosh, we're going to allow the government to continue to function because we got to give Democrats everything they want." They should stand on principle and say, "We are not signing a budget that does not move the country towards a balanced budget, that does not cut this massive excessive fat and waste and duplication out of the budget." And they have to stand on that principle, and that has to be their rock of Gibraltar, and they cannot falter. And that moment is coming. I don't know if it's going to come in June or July, August, September, October, November, but that is the fight that is going to come. And I guarantee the press, I'm going to tell you right now, guys, what is the press going to say? "Oh, the Republicans want to shut down the government. Oh, the Republicans don't want to pay our debt." No. If they take a stand, they should say, "We are taking a stand to restore the financial sanity of our country." And so that collision is coming.
Stephen, you just mentioned that you met with the Republicans a couple weeks ago. What do you sense is their resolve to do that?
I can't say. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there were I think 11 Republicans in the House who voted for that god awful spending bill. So maybe they didn't get the message from voters that we elected you people to be the brake on this massive spending. I mean, look. I don't want to sound apocalyptic to listeners, but we are going to have a financial crisis in this country if we don't get this spending and debt under control. We have, since Biden came into office. I love Biden. Have you seen Biden saying, "I'm so fiscally responsible, I brought the deficit down"? It's like, what is he talking about? The deficit this year is going to be $1.5 trillion. And he's acting like that's some kind of accomplishment. That's how sick these people are in Washington right now. So I can't tell you this morning, the Republicans are going to, take a hard line, but they have to. That's what I'm saying. If they don't, we're sunk as a country.
All right, Stephen Moore, of course, you can contact him at FreedomWorks, committee to Unleash Prosperity as well, committee to unleashprosperity.com. And, of course, you can find him on Twitter at Stephen Moore, which we've already tagged you there, Stephen, as well. Hey, Happy New Year to you. Appreciate you giving us the update.
Okay, guys. Have a great week ahead. Take care.
We've got your news roundup coming in just about 4 minutes right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Obviously, we've got a lot to talk about when it comes to this race for the U.S. Speaker. Republicans can't seem to get it together. Will they get it right? Love to get your thoughts on that. 314-912-1019. Or, you know what, you can comment on Rumble or Facebook or YouTube or wherever the heck you want to do that. Also, we have an update on the planned execution last night of a brutal murderer. And Missouri has a new U.S. Senator and a new State Attorney General. I'm going to have a cup of coffee during this information segment, get things together myself here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Let's get the day started right. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
St. Louis, it's Joe Pags. Proud to be part of the News Talk STL lineup. Every weeknight from 7 to 10, we'll get together to talk about what's going on. News, analysis, opinion. You won't hear anything like it in St. Louis. The Joe Pags Show, every weeknight at 7 on News Talk STL. Welcome home.
So how was your new year? Did you watch the big ball drop, or were you too busy watching the balance drop in your 401k? Well, the people on Wall Street are trying to calm the panic, telling everyone just to stay the course. Steve All and his team at the All Financial Group have strategies that are built specifically for these kinds of markets. And because of that, many of their clients have retirement income that keeps coming in like clockwork, even when the market takes a drop. If you'd like to learn more, call the All Financial Group today, 636-230-8824, to set up a complimentary 15-minute phone call. We're all busy, but what if one quick phone call could help ease your concerns about the markets and your retirement? Call and set up your 15-minute chat today, 636-230-8824, or online at yourmoneymattersstl.com. Investment advisory services offered by the All Financial Group, LLC, a registered investment advisor in Missouri. Insurance products offered through its affiliate, All Insurance Group, LLC, licensed in Missouri and Illinois.
Columbo and Katie.
I think wind is cool.
Who says that?
I do.
I think wind is cool, bro.
I've said it before, and I've had that same reaction from many people.
Why do you like wind?
I think it's cool.
But what does that mean?
I don't know. I just think it's cool. I think it's cool that, you're standing outside
and it's whipping?
For some reason, air's blowing on you.
Tony Columbo, Katie Fitzpatrick. Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Need repairs to your roof? A new roof? Call John Beal, 1-800-NEW-ROOF. And John Beal is proud to sponsor Larry Connors USA, starting January 9, right here on News Talk STL.
Whether at home or at work, you're mobile. So when you're mobile, stay mobile. Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you wherever you go. Download the News Talk STL app in the App Store or at newstalkstl.com. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Having your first cup of coffee? Mike's on his third. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Well, Congress has reconvened, so who's going to be in charge of the People's House? Well, technically speaking, we don't know yet, but oh, the drama.
Oh, the fun.
Oh, the drama.
I don't know. I don't know why. I just enjoy it. I think the competition's great. I think that if Kevin McCarthy does end up getting it, he'll appreciate it a little more.
Well, he's going to have to definitely work for it. Here's what I think is going to be interesting. We're going to go into this in more depth in a little bit here, but he's already made some concessions to those who are kind of dissenting from the GOP right now. That's like, Matt Gaetz and some of the others, Lauren Boebert and some of the others. And I think there's probably going to come a time where they're not going to negotiate anymore. And there's a possibility you could just have a standoff here. And this could just go on and on and on and on and on. And Kevin McCarthy basically is saying, I'm staying in this. I'm going to be the speaker. And there's, any more than 5 Republicans. Right now there's 20 who are going, we don't think so.
Yeah, not yet. Yeah.
And when I said, the drama, we don't have the cameras on right now, but I did the whole wrist flip, thing, right. Front hand facing up. Yeah. I was actually waiting for my lunch yesterday at a cafe, and Rachel and I are watching. This cafe had 2 big screen TVs. One was Fox News and one was CNN, side by side. Of course, it was live with the first vote that was happening in this. And it was interesting when you saw how they approached it differently, with the Fox, kind of focusing on the drama, obviously within the Republican Party,
mechanics of it, what the factors are.
CNN looking at this as just completely dysfunctional, completely fractured, disassembled Republican Party.
Yeah,
and I'm like, there's a little bit of truth to both of those, to be real honest.
Well, there is, Mike, but I don't even want to say Republicans, conservatives, they're independent in thought. Okay, I'm an independent. We're independent in thought, so we're not going to be in lockstep. Like the Democrats, no matter what, I don't care if you're John Fetterman, you're getting in there because we're in lockstep. And this guy can't even talk anymore. Did you see him recently?
Basically an invalid. I watched his swearing in. He's basically an invalid.
Did you see how scary he was toward his kids?
Oh, yeah.
He didn't even look at them.
No,
he just stood with his hands folded like, these people are coming next to me. They're getting close.
Lurch waiting for instructions.
So, but my point is, is that we're not in lockstep like the Democrats are. So there's going to be this. And I think it's a good thing. I just think it is.
It's going to be interesting if that continues after they pick a speaker. Then you got to also think strategically.
You do,
because you've got a 5-seat majority, and that's all you've got. So we'll get into that a little more depth here in a few minutes. Also, later on today, did Twitter break the law when it cooperated with, some would say colluded with, the Biden campaign? I'm talking about federal election laws.
Yeah.
Hans von Spakovsky from the Heritage Foundation going to be with us at 8:05. You're talking about one of the premier experts on election law in the United States.
Yeah.
Going to be with us at 8:05. And also the Blues start off the year right. I've got that update for you in just a minute. All right, let's go back to this House Speaker vote. House of Representatives failing to vote in a new speaker in the, what now is Republican-controlled chamber. Rich Edson has the basics for us.
Speaker, the House is adjourned and Republicans are trying to figure this all out. Kevin McCarthy says there is no circumstance where he drops out of the Speaker's race. He says he's looking for 11 votes to give him one more than Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries. On all 3 ballots, Jeffries received unanimous support from Democrats. Most Republicans support McCarthy, though a group of largely far-right members has been enough to keep McCarthy from the speakership. The holdouts say they've demanded McCarthy name more conservatives to certain committees and grant commitments on legislation. In one concession, McCarthy has already agreed to lower the threshold to hold a vote to depose a speaker.
And, of course, some of his supporters are also saying that not getting on board with the team is delaying congressional priorities. Hey, shut down government for all I care. I mean, that's called damage control.
But you notice how the Democrats were like they all voted the same way. They want that spot. They're not going to get it.
Oh, they're not going to get it. But that really was a political embarrassment for Kevin McCarthy.
Yeah.
I mean, 3 votes, and he came in second place with the Republican majority.
Yep.
That numerically speaking. All right, let's start there. 620.
Okay.
I mean, we'll talk about a little bit at 6:05, but 6:20, because I definitely want to know what people think. What do you expect? Is this a smart move by the, I don't know what else to call them, the dissenters or whatever you want to call them? Is this smart on their part, or is this just aiding and abetting the Democrats? There's probably a lot of views out there. All right, Scott McLaughlin, the man that the media calls Amber McLaughlin, was executed last night. That sentence was carried out as a result. And I just say this to remind people of the source of that sentence. The sentence was carried out as a result of his admission to and his conviction for the kidnapping, rape, strangling, stabbing, and eventual murder of his ex-girlfriend, Beverly Gunther, in 2003. The media, by the way, is still fixated on his status as the first so-called transgender woman to be executed in the U.S., and the media, in a related note, is still adding reasons for us not to take them serious for serious news.
With that same vein of thought, are they going to create a statue for this person?
Yeah, really. You know what's interesting is I was looking over some of the press video and stuff like this from this. The director of the corrections department is Ann Presythe. And when she came out to make her statement that this inmate had been executed and that the sentence was carried out, she referred to his actual name. She said Scott McLaughlin was executed at, I think it was 6:51 or something like that. And I just thought that was very matter of fact and very just down the line. This is the way it was. And I thought, you know what, that is absolutely one of the most respectful things that they could have done with and for the victim's family.
Yeah, and this is the kind of thing that needs to happen whenever you're called out as not being woke enough. You need to step back and say, "No, I'm going to say it the way it is.
We're just going to tell the truth.
Just tell the truth,
right? Now, and I don't know that he actually legally changed his name. And I actually heard a report when I'm picking the reports from Fox News because we're an affiliate. I actually turned one down a little bit ago because the reporter said, he transitioned once he got back. He didn't there was no surgery. There were no hormones. He just grew his hair out, put it in pigtails, and put lipstick on.
Right.
And then said, "Call me Amber." I mean, that was it. That's not a transition. And you, by the way, cannot physically, biologically transition. But here we are caught up in the trans thing when the reality is that a cold-blooded murderer who did have an awful upbringing and had the life stacked against him. I'm not discounting that, but somebody who committed a horrible, horrible crime, multiple crimes, because he was already on the sex offender list, was put to death and paid the ultimate price for his crime. That's really what the story should be about. All right, this happened in Washington, D.C. Yesterday as well, if I can get my clicker to go to the right place here. There it is. Oh, my goodness, there it is.
Do you solemnly swear that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that you take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office you are about to enter, so help you God?
I do.
Congratulations, Senator.
Thank you very much.
All right, that is Vice President Kamala Harris administering the oath of office to Missouri's new U.S. Senator Eric Schmitt, with his family, of course, around him. And now, as a result of Schmitt's taking office in Washington, Missouri now has a new Attorney General. Andrew Bailey, just moments later, was sworn in to that office Tuesday in Jefferson City as well. So big changes in Missouri politics. Finally, we're calming down. Remember, all this revolving door of office holders has been just one of the most unique, I think, in the country's history.
Yeah, Governor Parson, he's personally elected or
appointed like 5 statewide officials.
Yeah, that's like a record in Missouri by far.
Probably never be broken.
Right.
I mean, probably never be broken. That's for sure. All right, so we've got a new attorney general, a new U.S. senator, and we're going to have a new state treasurer as well because we had Treasurer Fitzpatrick elected auditor.
Yeah.
So now there's going to be a new. Well, no, that he's already been appointed as well. So
right.
Yeah. So there we go. All right. Quick note: the Blues start 2023 off right with a 6-5 win over the Maple Leafs. This one, in true Blues fashion, went to a shootout because the Blues love overtime stuff this season.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Hey, it's Katie. We here at News Talk STL really appreciate the growth in our business during our first 18 months since we signed on the air. We appreciate the great local businesses like Save Money with Doug Voss, Crypto World, and the Natural Institute of Health that have all become part of our family of advertising partners. If your business is interested in becoming part of the News Talk STL family, simply send an email to info@newstalkstl.com.
1019-941 News Talk STL.
Buckle up, Buttercup. What's new, fresh, and definitely shaking up the airwaves?
Johnny's Hideout in High Ridge presents the Definitely Holly Show.
Hi, this is Holly, a conservative millennial, and I am proud to be the newest member of the News Talk STL family. Every Saturday, we tackle controversial and hot topics and what's going on in our local community.
The Definitely Holly Show.
This Saturday evening at 5
On News Talk STL. Brought to you by Hiatus Tequila. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNVS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. 3 votes and counting. After several rounds of balloting, House Republicans failed to elect a speaker.
I have the record for the longest speech ever on the floor. I don't have a problem getting a record for the most votes for speaker, too.
California's Kevin McCarthy, the lead contender for the speakership.
Republicans took control of the House in November's midterm elections. They fell short of a predicted landslide victory, leaving only a slim majority to work with. McCarthy could only afford 4 defections. In the end, he lost 19 Republican votes. On a second ballot later in the afternoon, he lost another 19 votes. On a third ballot, he lost 20. The vote for Speaker will continue for an indefinite number of additional ballots until a candidate can secure a majority. But after 3 failed attempts, the House was adjourned Tuesday until noon Eastern Time on Wednesday, when the chamber will hold another vote. Bernie Bennett, Capitol Hill.
Indiana State Police say the suspect in the murders of 4 University of Idaho students had been stopped twice for a traffic violation a couple of weeks before his arrest.
Body cam footage shows Brian Koberger's white Hyundai Elantra being stopped in Indiana on December 15th for following too closely. Koberger, whose father was in the front passenger seat, was let go with a verbal warning. He had been stopped minutes before by the local sheriff's department for the same traffic violation.
Well, I'm not going to give you guys another ticket or warning if you just got stopped. Just make sure you give yourself plenty of room, okay?
The 28-year-old criminology grad student is accused of the November 13th brutal stabbings of the 4 students. Koberger was taken into custody December 30th at his parents' home in Pennsylvania. I'm Donna Warder.
The NFL and its fans rallying in support of Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin. He remains in critical condition at a Cincinnati hospital after suffering cardiac arrest on the field Monday night. Wall Street this morning, Dow futures up 101 points. NASDAQ futures better by 76. More on these stories at townhall.com.
If you are 65 or older, you know this. Watching your hard-earned dollars fly out the window on healthcare costs is so frustrating. But here's some great news. If you missed the December 7th deadline for open enrollment, it's not too late. Here's something that can really help. It's MediShare 65 Plus. MediShare is a community of Christians who share each other's healthcare bills. It's people who encourage and pray for each other, too. MediShare 65 Plus is a low-cost option for those with Medicare Parts A and B, and it fills in the gaps where Medicare stops. It's a great way to fight inflation, too. You can lock in one low monthly price for up to 10 years. Plus, it's easy. You can use any Medicare-approved doctor or get 24/7 telehealth access from the comfort of your home. So worth looking into. MediShare 65 Plus is open for enrollment, and if you join right now, before January 31st, your second month will be free. So don't miss this chance. Call 855-SHARE-44. That's 855-SHARE-44. 855-SHARE-44.
Real.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm News 4 meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. After a record-setting temperature yesterday, a cold front overnight dropped temperatures today to more seasonable for this time of year. So we're feeling the January cold. Temperatures topping out near 42 degrees. Light wind, and overall we'll have partly sunny skies. Now for the next couple of days, we're enjoying a dry weather, but watch the weekend. Showers return Saturday. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Kansas City Steak Company, another AmericanEagle.com success story. Started in 1932 as a family-owned butcher shop, today they're a leading distributor of superior all-American steaks delivered right to your door, ready for the grill and your taste buds. When it came to their website, an average site wouldn't do. They chose AmericanEagle.com to take their website to the next level. With a dramatic increase in competition and a softening market demand, they had two challenges: improve their brand presence and message, and produce a positive return. AmericanEagle.com got to work and executed usability studies and detailed audits of site experience, digital assets, and marketing. The result? An integrated digital marketing and customer experience plan, organic traffic increase of 20%, and a long-term roadmap for success. If you love great steaks, go to kansascitysteaks.com for website design, development, and online solutions that bring efficiency and results. Visit AmericanEagle.com. If you need a results-driven website, call the team at AmericanEagle.com at 877-WEB-NOW1. That's 877-WEB-NOW1.
Don't miss a special broadcast of Jones and Arps this Wednesday, live from the Missouri State Capitol for the opening of the 2023 legislative session. Tim Jones and Chris Arps live from Jeff City this Wednesday at 3:30 on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
Are you pretending to be crazy? Wow, you're really pumped about this.
Gabe Pfeiffer. Get up, St. Louis.
The best answer to the toxicity of the left is the truth.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, we mentioned this yesterday. I just want to bring it back up. The News Talk STL family has grown in that Larry Connors is now part of the News Talk STL family. He is going to be a weekday talk show host once again, right here starting Monday. We talked about his commentary. We talked about his like overnight show because he does this show on Rumble, and so we're gonna play that overnight. But he's actually got his own show that's going to be starting Monday at 6:00.
All right.
I think it's a 1 hour show, if I remember right. I think it's a 1 hour show. And it dawned on me, I was talking to our boss, Jeff, yesterday, and he mentioned that this is the very first lineup change for the weekdays that we have had since going on the air.
Really?
If you think about it, this is the first time, and it's adding another local host.
Hey, you know what? We're awesome. I mean, I just have to say, I'm feeling good today. We're off.
Yeah. So that, and I didn't even think about that. I mean, I've been around radio a long time. You've now been around a few years,
just a little bit,
just a little bit. Stell is at the board right now. You've been in radio a little bit, Stell.
Just a tad.
Just a tad.
Yeah.
How often do you have a talk station that has no lineup changes right off the bat? But after a year and a half, we're going to make a change because we're adding another local host. Most radio stations are trying to get rid of local as much as they can because it's cheaper.
That's true.
Yeah. So that's exciting. So Larry Connors is going to be on the show with us tomorrow as well. So I'm excited about that. All right. I'm Mike Ferguson. It is 6:07. Got Gabe here. And Stell at the moment is at the mic. Love to know what you think. 314-912-1019. All right. 3 votes yesterday. No Speaker of the House. Gabe, it looks like nobody is backing down.
Yeah, this is kind of a wild situation. Obviously, it's historic. And then, of course, there's just the feeling that you get that something is just, that is chaotic. A lot of people are talking about, this is chaotic. But I'm kind of with Ken. I heard you earlier, Ken. It's like, you know what? I kind of like this. Yeah. Just because I want to see conservatives fight. I want to see them fight for us. And whatever concessions that they can squeeze out of this, I'm all for.
So Stell was telling me during that information segment that we just had, you did a little looking up at the history, and 3 votes is nothing compared to the record.
Going back to, I believe it's 1856,
when there were more than 100 votes for the Speaker of the House, and there was a 2-month delay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
my gosh.
this is not unprecedented, and I'm certainly not hoping that this goes 2 months.
No.
And 100-plus votes. But I agree with Gabe. Let it play out.
Mm-hmm.
This is what the Founding Fathers set it up this way for. Let the people speak, and the people are pushing back and saying, just as Gabe said, hey, let's see some backbone here.
Yes.
Let's see something get done where the Republicans actually stand up to the uniparty and everybody else that's been pushing all of this stuff, including the omnibus bill, through legislation.
So yesterday's when nobody got a majority on the first vote, that was the first time in 100 years
Right.
that it happened.
1923, right?
That's right.
So pretty much on the dot.
yeah, there you go.
And so I think what surprised people the most is that it wasn't, oh, gee, he lost 5 votes, so somebody was going to make a statement. And then people thought, yeah, a couple people are saying, okay, I made my point. Now I'm going to vote for you. Give me a good committee assignment. 20.
Yeah, that's a big number.
That's a really big number on this. The Democrats were they were having some fun. They were enjoying the fact that they are not in the majority, and their guy got the most votes in the race. And you know what? If I were them, I'd be doing the same thing.
Oh, sure. I mean, you got to have fun with it. You know, you're gonna poke your opponent when they do something that you can that's pokeable.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm okay with the process. You know, so long as we actually come out with something for the conservative side. I want some concessions because the leadership has been failing us for so long. We can't just simply let it go by just because incumbency is just that important to us.
Here's a question for you guys, and you know, we're going to dive deeper even at 6:20. But here's a question for you: when you look at post-speaker election, whoever it's going to be, I mean, likely Kevin McCarthy at some point,
Likely.
but you know, if it's somebody else, you know, after that, Republicans have the very, very tiny majority of like 5 seats. If those relationships are damaged as much as it looks like it is right now, do the Republicans actually then really have a majority?
Yeah, you know, I often wonder how much the personal relationships play into the political relationship.
Oh, huge.
You know, and that's the thing.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm assuming a lot just because of, you know, my closest you know, association with this type of thing is office politics, and I know how that goes. And so, yeah, this could eventually become damaging in terms of our ability to govern as Republicans, and that's the other side of that double-edged sword that I'm worried about.
So the bottom line is, my prediction is that I have no idea what's about to happen. I'm going out on a limb here, guys.
Yeah.
I am saying that it is a definite maybe that something unexpected could or could not happen. How's that for laying it all on the line?
I would agree with
you.
you.
You can quote me, people.
Yeah.
On
Wow.
that. All right, 620, 314-912-1019. Let's get everybody's thoughts on that. I want to just follow up on something that was mentioned yesterday. I mentioned that Illinois was one of the top 3 states that people were moving out of.
Yeah.
And so I looked up the list on this, and this is interesting because this is the list that the moving companies put together. It's so you can look at all the tax data all you want. The moving companies are saying, hey, we'll tell you where our trucks are going.
Yeah.
You know, where our vans are going. And according to this is the 46th annual National Movers Study, Illinois was number 2 on the list of people moving out of. Once again, they lost over 100,000 residents.
Oof, my goodness. Again.
Number 2, they're trying harder.
Jeez, yeah.
As Avis used to say.
Yeah, they really are. It's insane. But when you look at where people were moving out of, there were actually a couple of surprises on this list. And I don't know if this is a percentage of population because there's some small states involved in here. But the number 1 state that people were moving away from is New Jersey.
Yeah, and that it kind of surprised me, Justin. I was assuming we were talking overall numbers, and it makes sense as a percentage, though. And of course, you know, New Jersey is basically, you know, just as bad as New York. It just has a worse smell.
It's the Garden State. How could that be?
Yeah. The fertilizer? I don't know.
Maybe.
Number 2 is, of course, Illinois, like we said. Number 3, no surprise, New York.
Yeah.
And then Michigan was number 4. Number 5 was Wyoming, which actually surprised me a little bit.
And that's the one that makes me think that this is a percentage list. But,
Yeah.
But that makes New York's presence there even worse.
Oh, yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
if we're talking percentages.
Do you know anybody from Wyoming?
No, but I can see people trying to get away from Liz Cheney.
Yeah.
So maybe they would be moving out, but no.
I got a
personally.
feeling she's not going back there. I was going to say, one of the reasons I don't know anybody from Wyoming is because they tend to not leave Wyoming. So I'm a little surprised to see that.
Yeah,
They like it there.
That's really, It's really funny because there's a running joke from when I was a kid that Wyoming actually doesn't exist. Like Wyoming is like an ancient Indian word for state that doesn't exist because you've never met anybody from Wyoming. It's just kind of the running joke. Maybe it's a New York thing, but that's very surprising that people are moving out of Wyoming.
It's funny. I have fond memories of visiting Wyoming when I was a kid on a Greyhound bus going from Denver up to Regina. And the early stop at 5 a.m. was in Cheyenne. You know, the typical Greyhound, you've got 30 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, go into the station, get your food, and come back out. And it was a beautiful sunrise. And driving through Wyoming, it was gorgeous. So I've that fond memory. But other than that, nothing else that I can recall.
Yeah, I've never been there. I've never been there.
Same.
Number 5, states people were moving. Well, I'm sorry. Number 6, Pennsylvania. Number 7, Massachusetts. Number 8, Nebraska.
Now, why are people moving out of Nebraska?
I don't know.
I mean, is it an opportunity thing?
I think it's an opportunity thing
Yeah.
as well. So Wyoming and Nebraska are red states. Number 9 was Louisiana. Number 10, California. That's what, because California is shedding people like crazy.
Yes.
So it's got to be a percentage thing there.
I mean, the weather isn't that good. That you would have.
That's pretty good.
But is it that good that you want to pay like half of your salary and taxes and stuff like that?
Not in the least bit. People were moving into Vermont, Oregon, Rhode Island, South Carolina, Delaware, North Carolina, Washington, D.C. What the heck?
Why would you move into
Why would you move into Washington, D.C.?
That's a weird one.
South Dakota, I get that. I think South Dakota is about to be a boom state. I mean, they're about to explode. New Mexico, which is beautiful, and Alabama. I think probably just because it's really cheap out there.
Yeah, it must be.
All right, what do you make of this Speaker of the House debacle? Let's talk about it. You're going to hear from the Republican dissenter side. You're going to hear from the Democratic side, which is enjoying the drama right now. But I want to hear from you at 314-912-1019. This is 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
What if everything you thought and believed to be true about owning and buying your home turned out to be wrong?
Straightforward, objective advice on the right way to make the most out of every dollar you put into your home.
We're the only country that has one of those. Most other countries, considering like Canada, the UK, they don't have long-term fixed-rate mortgages like that. They're all variable-rate mortgages.
HomeWise with Michael Midget. Sunday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Kenny Zhu, president of Color Us United.
Race became a profitable industry. That's what happened. Racial victimhood. We all believe in civil rights, but then there are people who actually profit off of racial victimhood in this country. Diversity, equity, and inclusion right now, the new hot thing in companies, is a $10 billion plus industry.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 3:30 on News Talk STL.
Have you been floored? Not until you've gone to Michael's Flooring Outlet. They've been a locally owned and operated family business for more than 28 years. You want variety? Michael's has carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, luxury vinyl, natural stone, and many other options. Save money and get quality at Michael's. Plus, your installation will be done right the first time when you hire the experts at Michael's. You can shop in store at one of their 3 convenient locations or shop from home. Check out everything that Michael's has to offer at igotfloored.com.
I'm Susie Moore, and this is More to the Point. Happy New Year!
We're 3 days into it, and the drama is already at a fever pitch in D.C. as House Republicans lock horns over whom to choose as their leader. Kevin McCarthy has long been the presumed successor to Nancy Pelosi, but he hasn't earned the Speaker's gavel just yet. After 2 rounds of votes, McCarthy remained 15 votes shy of the 218 needed to claim the title, with 19 Republican holdouts. I'm generally conflict averse, and I do agree that whoever emerges gavel in hand, the House GOP need to rally around and find a way to present a united front, to make the most out of the next 2 years in terms of effective legislating, budgeting, and oversight. But for now, I'm with those who say bring on the fight. McCarthy hasn't earned a cakewalk here, and if he truly wants to be a leader, he needs to find a way to work with the resistant Republicans and persuade them that he's the right man for the job. If you can't work deals with people who agree with you 80+% of the time, how do you expect to lead effectively in the face of a White House and Senate controlled by the opposition?
Susie Moore is Deputy Managing Editor for RedState.com. For more to the point and everything Susie Moore, log on to RedState.com. Follow Susie on Twitter at SmoozyQ and keep listening to 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
What citizen wouldn't want to make America great again?
Live and local.
And their leadership has been substandard.
I think the word substandard is immensely polite.
This is News Talk STL. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com.
All right, we are streaming, so hopefully we're on your smart TV if you're still in the house or on the app. But we are probably going to be back on camera tomorrow. So we are on Rumble, we are on YouTube, we are on Facebook. We are still in our backup studio, hopefully back in the main studio tomorrow. Some of you know we had over the Christmas holidays, we had a water main break, and that's caused a lot of things to be moved around. So hopefully we'll be back there. But if you haven't already subscribed to us on Rumble in particular, please go do it. The Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show is also on YouTube and, of course, Facebook as well. Just look up News Talk STL. You really ought to be connected with us on Facebook in particular because we are posting news updates throughout the day there. I'm Mike Ferguson. It is 6:20. Gabe's here. Stell is here. And, of course, the huge story of the day, top House Republican. The number one guy in the Republican in the U.S. House is Kevin McCarthy. Still denied the Speaker's gavel, as Susie Moore was just talking about a minute ago. And this, of course, on the first day of the new Congress, which was yesterday. Fox News' Jared Halpern has more from Capitol Hill.
The House will reconvene at noon after spending the first day of the 118th Congress voting unsuccessfully to elect a Speaker.
I have the record for the longest speech ever on the floor. I don't have a problem getting a record for the most votes for Speaker, too.
Republican leader Kevin McCarthy, though, failed to win 218 votes on 3 separate ballots, marking the first time in 100 years a vote for Speaker was not settled on a single vote. Members of the conservative House Freedom Caucus have vowed to block McCarthy's Speaker bid. On Capitol Hill, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Okay, so in all, at one point you had 20 Republicans. I think on another vote it was 19. Now, they're not all voting for somebody else. Some of them were just voting present, which means phooey on all of you.
Right.
Basically. Democrats laughing out loud on the floor. But if you're a Democrat, why wouldn't you? I mean, this is what you get this time around.
Yeah.
You can enjoy the other side being fighting amongst themselves.
Yeah, I mean, you got to take the opportunity to jab at your opponent. I get it.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But, of course, we need to ignore the laughter. We need to ignore that, because it's not as though us doing a bang-up job of being unified is going to get any admiration from them or anything like
right.
that. It's like I don't care what your reaction is.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, though. I believe on the final vote, when it went to 20, the majority of votes were all for Jordan.
Yeah,
because
he was nominated. Jim Jordan himself goes,
and he didn't want it.
Jim Jordan's like, I don't know, stop. Don't vote for somebody else. Don't vote for me. But they're like, no, we're voting for you.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, Hakeem Jeffries was asked about the entire scenario, and here's what he had to say.
We're ready, willing, and able to get to work
on behalf of the American people, but we don't have a partner on the other side of the aisle.
Okay, in the best and the worst case scenario, Representative Jeffries, I don't want you to have a partner. I do not want the Republicans looking at themselves as a partner for Hakeem Jeffries and the Democratic Party.
That's the problem. The partner is the uniparty.
Oh, jeez.
Yes.
We don't like you.
Yeah, it's funny because I was looking through some of the conservative media sources. One of them has a cover photo that says Nancy Pelosi, and it's got like a mock sticker over it. Fired. Okay, congratulations. It's great that she's fading into the sunset.
Right.
Hakeem Jeffries is just as bad or worse when it comes to his leftist extremism, and he's young. So he's going to be around for a while, and he's taken the handoff from Nancy Pelosi, and he is moving it farther down the field and in a far more leftist direction than even she did. So congratulations, you fired Nancy Pelosi, but the new guy is just as bad.
Yeah, I mean, just don't touch, no touchy, when in terms of this guy, because oh my gosh, is there anything where we would be able to have? Is there any crossover in the Venn diagram with him?
Not really.
Yeah, so his complaint that he has no partner is a good thing for
that's a good point. It absolutely a good thing. I don't want the Republicans fighting over who's going to be the one to work with their colleagues on the other side of the aisle. I want to know who's going to be the one and who's going to be in leadership on committees and in the Speaker's house and the whip's office and all of these different positions to defeat the extremists on the left. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see who's going to make the trains run on time. I want to know who's going to cancel the trips if they're going in the wrong direction.
Yeah, we're looking for political gladiators at this point, not somebody to manage the decline of conservatism in America.
Now, there's still a right way and a wrong way to do it, though, and I don't know how long this is going to be the right way to do it.
Yes. The internal fighting, it's got to come to an end at some point. It's got to be okay. Fine. We all said our piece. We all got what we could get out of this process, but now it's time to link arms and do the thing. The whole unity in our diversity of opinions is one of the things that we have been doing wrong for a long time. It tends to be where we're ununified when we need to be unified, and then we're sticking together on stuff that we shouldn't be. So I'd like to flip the script a little bit going forward, but I mean, I'm only partially hopeful that it's actually going to happen. This whole process, though, has been sort of cathartic on some level.
It's interesting.
I think it's going to be an odd juxtaposition today with what's going to happen in Kentucky with Biden and McConnell getting together and supposedly putting all of their laudatory statements on the omnibus bill, and we've got the two of them together. I think back a few months when I saw McConnell and Pelosi giving elbow bumps to each other.
Oh, yeah.
And all of that, in my mind, says uniparty, and it makes me cringe. And now today we're going to see, as you mentioned, Mike, we've got more votes coming up on the Speaker of the House, and that's going to go up against what we're going to see coming out of Kentucky today with the two of them down there and their total omnibus bill celebration.
Okay, so a few things that just popped into my mind on this. One, the politics that happened overnight had to be absolutely brutal.
Yes.
Brutal. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right.
The deal making, the threats, everything had to be absolutely brutal. Secondly, also keep in mind what the typical voter, not the news junkie consumer, they hate this. Mm-hmm. They hate the battling. We want the conservatives to stand firm to protect our constitutional rights and try to reclaim our economy into a good direction. They know when something's wrong and they want it to stop. Mm-hmm. But there is a time to be cordial in disagreement. I'm not saying dehumanize other people, other than maybe a few I can think of that we should dehumanize a little bit.
Absolutely deserve it.
But one of the other things, and this is something I think that you said a few minutes ago, Gabe, regarding the incumbency, I just saw a note that Kevin McCarthy and his staff have already moved into the speaker's office.
Oh yeah, there's a whole fight.
They already said, and so there are among the dissenters. I don't know what else to call them. The dissenters. They've actually made a complaint to the clerk of the House and the sergeant at arms, and they're saying, "Hey, evict him. He hasn't been elected speaker." They're actually right about that.
They are absolutely right. I mean, we're hoping this doesn't go 2 months like it did in 1857 or 1856. But if it does, you shouldn't be occupying an office that's not yours for 2 months. Hey, if that was happening in the private sector, it's you would be evicted. That's called squatting. You're not allowed to be here.
Squatting rights. And Mike, you mentioned the clerk. Is the clerk not in charge right now? Isn't that the way it's set up?
I believe it's the clerk.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think the sergeant at arms handles what's on the floor, and I believe in the absence of the speaker, the clerk then runs it because Nancy Pelosi's picked the clerk to keep things running, and that's actually who's in charge of the House of Representatives right now until a Speaker of the House is picked, and then the Speaker has tremendous power. So Jim Jordan was nominated. Some people talked about Steve Scalise. I think there was somebody else who talked about Andy Biggs, and so the dissenters I think are going to kind of center around somebody. There was an audible gasp at one point yesterday when Byron McDonald from Florida, I think he's in his second term right now, I think. He changed his vote, and I think it went against Kevin McCarthy, and there was a, what? They're gaining momentum?
Yeah.
And so you've got the Republicans who are, I think if you had one or even two votes, they would have said, okay, point taken, message received, all right, get on board. And then after they adjourn for the day, I think they're looking at this going, oh, crap, they're not, they actually are going to try to eventually win enough to put somebody else in speaker. I don't think they're going to do it.
No.
So what kind of deals will Kevin McCarthy give them, and will that compromise his ability to be the strong leader?
Yeah, it's a good question. Well, and here's the thing though, is a compromise of his quote strong leadership actually a good thing?
Right.
You know what I mean? Is it because we're talking political appointments or what do you call them?
Committee assignments.
Committee assignments.
Yeah.
All of those things weigh pretty heavily on the way the business of the House is done. So maybe those concessions of power are a good thing.
We'll find out. All right, it's 6:30 right now. Just ahead, what happens when big, huge leftist government takes over? I would say unintended consequences, but I don't know these are unintended. And what's happening on the West Coast could absolutely affect us, and I'll tell you all about it right after this information break. We'll do it about 6:34, 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL. Subscribe and watch your favorite News Talk STL shows. Mike Ferguson in the morning, The Vic Porcelli Show, Columbo and Katie, Jones and Arps. Webcam streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Rumble. Subscribe and watch News Talk STL.
From the News Talk STL newsroom, I'm Joey Vasovich. After Governor Parson declined a clemency request, 49-year-old transgender inmate Amber McLaughlin was put to death yesterday. McLaughlin was convicted of first-degree murder in 2006. A judge sentenced McLaughlin to death after a jury deadlocked on the sentence. Denny Dennis Sporting Goods in Fenton was burglarized for the fourth time in 4 years on Tuesday. Cameras caught 5 thieves around 4 a.m. smashing in the front door and getting away with 7 guns. After getting the door fixed quickly, they were open for business the same day. The St. Louis Water Division issued a boil advisory for parts of North and South City on Tuesday. The Chain of Rocks treatment plant was having issues with its power supply, leading to low water pressure. The areas under the boil advisory are at the highest elevations in the water system. And in sports, in college basketball, Mizzou is in Arkansas tonight to face the Razorbacks. Tip-off is at 7:30. And in hockey, the Blues beat the Maple Leafs 6-5 in a shootout in Toronto last night. Each team scored 3 goals in the second period, with every Blues goal followed by a Toronto goal. Next up, the Blues head to New Jersey to face the Devils tomorrow night. Puck drop is at 6 p.m. And Hall of Fame Blues defenseman Chris Pronger tweeted out support for Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin. 25 years ago, Pronger also went into cardiac arrest during a game. Pronger said that he prays that Damar Hamlin can have the same outcome that he was fortunate to have. For in-depth coverage of these stories and more, go to newstalkstl.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm News 4 meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. After a record-setting temperature yesterday, a cold front overnight dropped temperatures today to more seasonable for this time of year. So we're feeling the January cold. Temperatures topping out near 42 degrees. Light wind, and overall we'll have partly sunny skies. Now for the next couple of days, we're enjoying a dry weather, but watch the weekend. Showers return Saturday. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
Colombo here for Zero Res. Thanks to Kids and Pets, we have relied on Zero Res to save our home many times, and it doesn't matter if it's carpets, tile, rugs, upholstery, basically every surface in your home can be Zero Resified. And right now, to start 2023, if you get a cleaning in the month of January, you'll get 23% off all services. Don't miss this incredible offer. Call and book now, 314-474-2020, or book online at ZeroResSTL.com. Spell it forward or backward, it spells the same, Zero Res.
How is your car payment treating you? What if I told you you could make a free phone call right now and reduce your car payment by as much as $83 a month? Look at your car payment closely. You could be paying as high as 20% interest. Rate Genius can help you reduce your car payments by reducing your interest rate to as low as 2.48% APR. We can refinance most existing car loans or leased cars, new or used, and save you money every month. Put more money back in your pocket. The call is free to find out how low we can lower your car payment. 5 minutes of your time right now could save you hundreds of dollars a year. Call Rate Genius now.
800-764-2179. 800-764-2179. 800-764-2179. That's 800-764-2179.
Not all applicants qualify for a loan or rate savings. Actual offer terms, including APR, are determined at the time of your application based on creditworthiness, value of the vehicle, loan term, and other factors.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
The far left wants to destroy conservative values in America.
This is News Talk STL. Welcome home. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter.
All right, if you haven't already subscribed to the News Talk STL podcast, hey, do me a solid. Do it, please.
Yeah, what are you even doing?
Right.
Come on.
We're on all the platforms, seriously. So you hear any of these conversations or any of the interviews coming up, you can hear them again, send them to your friends. If you miss any of our shows, then you can just go back and check it out on demand anytime you want. So check out News Talk STL on the podcast. It is coming up on 6:36. Mike Ferguson here. Got Gabe here. Stell is running things right now. You're going to be shocked to hear this, guys. Shocked to hear this. California did something stupid. I know.
This is my surprise face.
I'm just the messenger.
I swear. It's my surprise face.
Now, there's a new law that went into effect. Here's the thing. It was passed in 2008, but it was designed to go into effect 2023.
Okay.
So this is a long-term plan that the state of California has been doubling and tripling down on. And
my goodness, that was 15 years ago.
Yeah. It outlaws any vehicle weighing 14,000 pounds or more, so trucks.
Yeah. Big trucks.
Big trucks. A 14,000 pound, 7-ton truck would be obviously an 18-wheeler. I guess it could be a smaller,
like a big box truck.
Big box truck type of something like that. Like a moving truck or a delivery truck, a large delivery truck.
Full.
Any truck that's 14,000 pounds or more cannot operate on roads and highways in California if it was manufactured prior to 2010.
What?
So anything built before 2010 is now illegal to drive on roads in California.
So they want to destroy their supply chain.
Yes,
like that's a I want to destroy my supply chain
right.
rule. That's what that is.
Now they're saying this is because, well, the older engines, aren't as efficient and it's more carbon emissions. And so, hey, we gave you all of this notice. The trucking industry just said what you just said. They said, hey, the supply chain thing isn't really great right now.
You dummy.
So what's happening is they're now looking at rerouting, because to buy a new 18-wheeler, you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars for these things. I mean,
they're not cheap.
This isn't like going to the dealership and saying, that's a pretty nice SUV. That's, what's that, 23 grand?
Yeah,
Great,
no big.
No, you're talking major cost. And it is estimated that 10% of the big rigs, 70,000 big rigs, are now illegal to use. So the state's Department of whether it's Revenue or Transportation or whoever handles it, they are refusing to renew registrations and refusing to renew licensures. And they are actually going to send agents out to anybody who's got a fleet and check and decertify or deregister anything they find that was manufactured before 2010 in California.
So they also want to drive the headquarters for these transportation companies out of California.
That's what it sounds like to me. See, here's the thing. We talk about unintended consequences a lot. I don't know that this is unintended.
No.
I think it's intended.
It is. It is. And it feels like the old Soviet Union, to be honest with you. I've been around long enough to remember the days of how the Soviet Union was run, how Pravda dominated the political landscape and the the informational landscape in that country, and all the laws that they implemented in the Soviet Union. That's pretty scary.
What's really weird is that for years, how much control California has over everything else. An emissions standard or a sustainability standard or a content standard on something dictated it to the rest and dictates it to some degree to the rest, because all of these businesses are saying that's however many tens of millions or however many people are in California. We can't ignore that market. We have to adapt to that. So we just have to make that product for everywhere. Increasingly, I do think you're going to start seeing businesses go, it's just too expensive, and we've got the rest of the market. We're going to downgrade our operations in order to stay out of that market. To do that, which is the right thing to do, because California has gone so extremist, and we laugh about the craziness in California a lot.
Sure.
I mean, it's an easy target for people like us here on a conservative talk radio station.
But it hurts people.
It really, really hurts people. And the lessons to be learned here is, environmentalism is a cult.
Absolutely.
It's a worshiping at the foot of something. And also, though, it's that blue, kind of what you said, Still. Blue and leftist states, hostile to businesses, hostile to workers, because you're hostile to their jobs, and they've got no interest in people, only this extremist ideology.
And as Gabe mentioned, businesses are going to want to move. How many have we heard of over the past couple of years who have gone to Arizona and Texas just because they want to get out of California?
Yeah, I mean, if you own a fleet of, I don't know, like 100 trucks, most of which were manufactured before 2010, and some pencil pusher from the state is going to come by and say you have to get rid of all of these. Obviously, it's easier to just simply move locations. It's like, okay, well, we're just going to get a bill. It would literally be cheaper to simply rent a building in another state, in Nevada or something like that, than to try and comply with this stupid edict.
Well, and they're not even allowed to drive into California.
Right. Oh, right. Yeah.
So you can't
operate.
You can't even drive through there. You have to stay out of the state. If you're spotted by the highway patrol, the chips find you. They're supposed to pull you over. Oh my God. Because your truck is too old in California to meet their law.
Yeah, I'm looking for alternate routes to get to Oregon.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, we'll go around.
But what's the lesson in the Midwest? I mean, in Missouri, we don't have to worry about this.
Right.
Illinois, you better worry about this. You better worry about this.
Absolutely. And basically all of the traffic for our supply chain is going to go through red states.
Yeah.
If you want to keep on doing these things. But earlier, Mike, you mentioned this whole idea that they believe themselves to be a driving force for the rest of the country, and that by doing these things that they can kind of force other states into compliance. And that sounds a lot like how China dominates the entertainment space right now, in that movies, because they make so much money on the international box office, they cater their movies now to China. I don't know if you guys know this.
Yeah.
And they'll make a completely different cut of a movie in order to get past China's censor boards, and then show a different type in the West. So it's I guess they basically were taking lessons from China and said, hey, well, we're the big fish in the pond here. Well, maybe we'll kind of try to regulate the way the whole country deals with big trucks.
Money talks.
Yeah, money talks, though.
And one of the few who went against China was Top Gun Maverick.
Oh yeah,
when
absolutely.
they made the changes on his jacket.
Oh yeah,
on Tom Cruise's jacket.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And they took the flag off. They took Taiwan's
flag.
They
took Taiwan's flag off because that was a service flag. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of things that they do there. I mean, as much as I love Top Gun Maverick, you notice they never named who the enemy was.
Yeah, I did notice. I noticed that in the theater.
It's like, well, who's?
It was implied, but they never actually named it.
Yeah, it's like who's developing a nuclear missile site?
And just to clarify my statement, I meant to say that they left the Taiwanese flag on his jacket.
Oh, they left it on there?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
China
Sorry.
wanted the flag off of his jacket.
That's right.
And they said, nope, we're
I'm
leaving
sorry.
it on. If you don't like it, then we're not going to distribute the movie in China. Okay.
You're right.
All
Yeah, I did see that. Yes.
Which was interesting because my hope is that more and more, whether it's entertainers, just at some point say, you know what, Dave Chappelle was right. Twitter is not a real place. The Twitter mob can come after somebody. That doesn't mean anything. Now, with China, you're talking about billions of dollars.
Well, yeah, and then the thing is, the Chinese government actually controls literal access to that market.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Even if the Chinese people are cool with it,
which they probably
which
are.
they might probably are, the government's going to say, no, you can't even bring that here.
Yeah, they have a very separate internet there.
Yes, they do.
Google is very different there. Google
And TikTok is very different there.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right.
And just a reminder, speaking of that, if you have TikTok on your phone, get it off your phone and burn your phone.
Yes.
Buy another phone.
Get a new phone.
But what this happens is California has been a pseudo regulator of the rest of the country.
Yep.
And as they do this, my hope is that their economy completely falls apart worse so that they'll get off our backs. I don't want anything bad to happen to the people of California except those who vote for this crap.
Yeah.
Then, hey, you suffer the consequences that you brought on yourself.
Take it.
But I want them off the backs of everybody else because there are businesses that say, you know what, that's a X percentage of our business, but it's going to raise our cost by X percentage. Therefore, if we reduce our business by this much, the return on investment is less revenue, but maybe more profit sustained.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you know what? Have the state to yourself. Then we're going to go elsewhere.
Yeah, and they'll survive, but they'll also lose a lot of people continuously. Hey, Illinois, California, 2 of the top 10 states that people are moving away from again in 2022, which is consistent with the last several years as well. There's a reason for that. 2 completely different climates, 2 completely different types of economy, but what do they have in common? Extremist left-wing government.
Yeah.
That's what drives people away.
Effing around
All right,
and finding out.
that's right. 645 right here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. Does it matter how somebody goes into office and what they take their oath of office on when they put their hand on something? Does that matter?
Matters to me.
Okay.
A little bit.
I've got a weird one for you, and I'm really curious, Gabe, as to what your reaction to this is going to be.
Okay.
I'll tell you about it right after this information segment on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. Let's do it around 6:50.
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
This is News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton, and we're proud to be the official winter weather source for News Talk STL. The First Alert Weather Team is working hard to keep you ahead of the big weather changes and help you plan your day. So stay connected this winter with Channel 4 and News Talk STL.
Wellington Environmental, always helping you deal with any hospital, business, office, or home environmental hazards. Plus, Wellington Environmental, proud to be a sponsor of Larry Connors USA, starting January 9, right here on News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Vic. Everyone here at News Talk STL is incredibly grateful for the growth in our business during the first 18 months since we signed on the air. We appreciate the great local businesses like Southern Armory, Rhino Shield, Steph's Pizza, and the Walner team that have become one of our many advertising partners. If your business is interested in becoming part of the News Talk STL family, simply send an email to info@newstalkstl.com. We have a wide variety of affordable advertising options. And thanks for listening to News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Life insurance is one of those things that just about everybody needs, but few people actually have. Hey, if you die unexpectedly without life insurance, guess what? You'll leave your family with even a bigger mess. Life insurance will help replace your family's income. It'll help cover burial expenses. Life insurance can even help pay off debt like credit cards and medical bills. Life insurance can even pay for college. And if you own a business and you die, life insurance can help your business from collapsing. It can even help cover estate taxes. Life insurance has never been more affordable and needed. Plus, you can always shop around even if you have a plan and save some money. So call the Life Insurance Quote Line right now for free pricing information.
800-979-3060. 800-979-3060. 800-979-3060. That's 800-979-3060.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Wednesday, the Missouri legislature is back in session. Chris and I will be there to capture all the action from under the dome.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 3:30 on News Talk STL. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the Morning.
All right, let's talk about the Speaker of the House mess a little bit more. 7:05, we've got Thomas LeDuc from RedState.com going to be with us. Red State's been all over this, man.
Oh, they're banging, man, with this whole
variety of takes, perspective. They're not perspective. Each writer has their own perspective, but they're looking at it from different angles. That's the way I think we're looking. So RedState.com, and we're going to talk to Thomas here in about 15 minutes or so. It's coming up on 6:50 right now. Mike Ferguson here, Gabe Pfeiffer over there, and Stell over on the other side here in the studio. What is next in this just Republican debacle in Congress right now? Now, here's one of the other interesting things is that until a speaker is picked, believe it or not, nobody else gets sworn in.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing else happens. So they can't simply say, all right, let's go ahead and have the committee meetings while we figure this out, and let's go ahead and get the other stuff done. All right, we were going to add something to the menu in the cafeteria. Nope, nothing is happening until the Speaker of the House is actually selected. So this is a really, really big deal. And so you've got all these members of the House, congressmen and women elect, who aren't sworn in yet. They are not members of Congress yet.
Right.
And one of them, apparently a very colorful guy.
Okay.
He's going to do things a little bit different when he's sworn in.
Okay.
Now, we've heard times where somebody has decided to not put their hand on the Bible,
right,
to swear in,
and that's fine. I mean,
That's
there are other religions, there are other
Right.
things that people look towards.
Other people, for instance, somebody who's Islamic will use the Quran.
Right.
There have been other people who are just liberal and anti-religion or whatever, and they would put their hand on the Constitution, a copy of the Constitution.
Right.
And so that's what they would do. But a California Congressman-elect has a unique plan for his swearing-in ceremony, whenever that's actually going to happen. Fox News' Sue Guzman explains.
When he takes the oath of office, incoming Democrat U.S. Representative Robert Garcia says he plans to be sworn in with a very rare edition of a Superman comic rather than the traditional Bible. The self-proclaimed comics nerd, Garcia says he will be sworn in with a copy of the U.S. Constitution, as well as an original Superman #1 provided by the Library of Congress. Garcia, the former mayor of Long Beach, says comics have a special meaning for him, since he says he learned to read and write from reading comics about the Man of Steel. His swearing in, though, still in limbo after the House Tuesday failed to select a new speaker. Sue Guzman, Fox News.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah,
you
yeah.
see why I wanted
Yeah,
your
you
reaction. to
Definitely
this.
want my reaction on that one. My goodness. Okay, well, the main thing that I focused on was the fact that the Constitution was still in the mix there.
Mhm.
Like he's actually swearing on the Constitution. I think he just realized that he had the opportunity to get his hands on a Superman #1 because the Library of Congress has one. So he's like, wait, I can ask to have that like there.
Oh, he's already said he's geeking out over all
Oh
this.
yes, heck yes. I would, if I had access to it, I would want it as well. I'm not sure I would bring it to my swearing in, but maybe that's his one opportunity to do so. But you know what? I do understand, at least on some level, the idea of Superman being an aspirational idea. Inspirational as a young person, because Superman's my favorite comic book character, mainly because his superpower isn't so much that he's strong and invulnerable and all those things, it's that he's good. Because a being with the capabilities of Superman would otherwise take over the entire planet and just be emperor.
See, now, if I was being sworn in, my first thought would have been, can I get my Ernie Banks rookie card?
There you go.
And I'm sure, Mike, you'd be thinking, I got a Stan Musial card around here somewhere.
Johnny Bench.
I would love to, or Johnny Bench, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, there you go.
Be sworn in with U.S. Constitution and Johnny Bench rookie card.
Yeah, whatever the Library of Congress has available, please bring it out and I will touch it.
So, you'll touch it, but this is for the swearing in. So, is this a question of you do you, dude?
Sure.
By the way, his logo for his congressional campaign was the Superman lettering.
shield.
It was like Garcia in the Superman lettering. So is it you do you, dude, or is this like disrespectful and unbecoming of a congressman-elect?
I think if it was exclusively a comic book, if he did not include the Constitution in there, I would have a problem.
Okay.
If something greater than yourself isn't involved in the mix, then it's not actually a swearing in. Because that's the whole point of swearing on something. You're saying this thing which is greater than me, I pledge, to uphold my responsibilities on threat of, consequences from this. For those of us who are believers, that's God. It's like, God, strike me down if I don't uphold my, responsibilities. I guess, if you don't believe in God, then the Constitution, I guess, is the highest thing. It has to be a higher thing. Comics are not a higher thing. So if it was just a comic book that he's throwing out there and he's swearing on Superman, no, bro.
There was, who was it? Somebody, it was a left-wing, whether it was a school board member or something, they actually took their oath of office on a Dr. Seuss book.
I think I saw something like that.
Yeah.
See, that's the type of thing I think is disrespectful because you're not swearing on Dr. Seuss. You're not swearing on the Cat in the Hat, that you're going to uphold your constitutional responsibilities. So please.
Yeah, this guy, it was funny because he's clearly a really hard left guy from California. Checks a lot of boxes. He's a naturalized U.S. citizen.
Okay.
So, hey, which, you know what? Good for him.
Yeah, that's cool.
And he's bringing his documentation of citizenship, I guess, to Washington, D.C., and I'm like, good for him on that.
That's fine.
It's funny because the media says he is the first gay immigrant to be elected. So we're running out of firsts. So now we're inventing first. I was like, okay, fine. He's gay, whatever. I mean, not the first, but he's not the first immigrant, legal immigrant who became naturalized. He's not the first one of those to be elected. So we got to put together and create more boxes.
We're running out of boxes to check off here.
Yeah.
I was done with the whole first of this a long time ago. Because the thing is, back in the day, when you the idea of being first was that you were overcoming a very specific type of oppression that would otherwise keep you first. Basically, it was saying they're so good that all of the racist or sexist or whatever had to step out of the way. That's what the being the first meant
or
a
be
long
defeated.
time ago. Or yeah, exactly. So it's like Jackie Robinson. He's first because man, he's just so good. I can't help it. I'm just going to defy all social convention and go with this guy because he's that good. That was kind of the idea of being the first. If you're the first, one-legged, transgender, blind person, a little person or something like that, is like nobody was standing in your way to get in 2020 something or other. Just stop it. I'm done with the first.
Yeah, and of course, if you want to talk about the first Mexican native who became a U.S. citizen. That was Mayor Flores.
Yeah.
Who's a member of Congress for about a minute and 45 seconds last year.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah,
but she didn't really get those props because she's conservative.
Well, and that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, and if we're going to play the first game, we never get any firsts on our side. So, screw it. Screw it all. Forget it.
Yeah, so this guy, like I say, was a mayor. So it sounds like he's an up-and-coming star in the Democratic Party. I mean, if you're from a blue area, you elected a guy, and so he seems like a kid in a candy store.
Yeah.
He put up a picture of there's like a reading room for members of Congress, like attached to the Library of Congress, that is for them.
Right.
And that's fine. And he basically implied that this is where I'm going to be reading the comic books from the Library of Congress that are stored here.
You know what? There are perks. And if you win, you get the perks.
I don't even really have a problem with a lot of those perks.
Yeah.
All right, just ahead here, Red State's Thomas LeDuc going to be with us. We're going to get the update on what's happening with this debacle in Congress over the Speaker of the House. A little more serious than the comic books and even Superman, Gabe.
Man.
Even Superman. So we'll have that just ahead right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Packages start at $29.99 a month with signed agreement. Restrictions apply. Speak to a representative for complete offer details. See Vivint.com for license details. Terms and conditions apply.
Homeowners, if you're looking for the best in home security and smart home technology at a price you can actually afford, we have great news. Now you can get Vivint's award-winning home security systems starting at about $1 a day. U.S. News and World Report has recognized Vivint as the best professionally installed home security system of 2022. And right now, you can get Vivint's home security technology for about $1 a day. Plus, get free professional installation from a licensed technician. Protect your home and loved ones for as low as $1 a day. Call right now for your free home security consultation.
800-561-3405. 800-561-3405. 800-561-3405. That's 800-561-3405.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents, and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. The city was booming. Unfortunately, St. Louis City streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline. St. Louis City Republicans believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. Learn more at stlouisrepublicans.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican Pat Curtis, Farber Treasurer.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. House Republicans returned to Capitol Hill today without a Speaker of the House. 3 rounds of voting yesterday, failing to provide Kevin McCarthy the 218 votes required to secure the speakership. McCarthy accusing detractors of putting their own wishes above the good of the nation.
That's not about America, and I will always fight to put the American people first, not a few individuals that want something for themselves. So we may have a battle on the floor, but the battle is for the conference and the country, and that's fine with me.
But conservatives insist their concerns about out-of-control borrowing and spending, among other things, are all about putting country first. Florida's Matt Gaetz, no fan of McCarthy for Speaker.
There's very little difference between Nancy Pelosi and her California delegation mate that seeks the gavel. And we want to change because this town is broken. And this is a person who has acknowledged in Mr. McCarthy that the town is broken, and he has been a part of that process for many years as a member of the leadership.
The House reconvened today at noon. Florida's Republican governor sworn in for a second term, Ron DeSantis, saying his state rejects woke ideology in favor of good old common sense in government and daily life.
We seek normalcy, not philosophical lunacy. We will not allow reality, facts, and truth to become optional. We will never surrender to the woke mob. Florida is where woke goes to die.
Large swath of the South can't get a break from bad weather in this new year as fierce winds wreak havoc across 10 states, while out west, Northern California bracing for more heavy rains, having already caused flooding and mudslides. On Wall Street this morning, stock futures positive so far. Right now, the Dow futures are up 47 points. NASDAQ futures 39 points higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Factor pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. Relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month.
SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance. For your free quote, go to SelectQuote.com. That's SelectQuote.com. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm News 4 meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. After a record-setting temperature yesterday, a cold front overnight dropped temperatures today to more seasonable for this time of year. So we're feeling the January cold. Temperatures topping out near 42 degrees. Light wind, and overall we'll have partly sunny skies. Now for the next couple of days, we're enjoying a dry weather, but watch the weekend. Showers return Saturday. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by The Dental Link. Call Dr. Alan Link today, 314-794-6464 to schedule your free consultation. Offices in Baldwin and Melville, 314-794-6464.
Do you live in West St. Louis County? Then you can get West News Magazine delivered free to your home just by asking for it. West News Magazine is the only print source for the political, school, business, and sports news happening in your hometown. Simply visit westnewsmagazine.com/subscribe or pick up a free copy at all area Deerbergs and Schnuck stores. West News Magazine. Anybody who wants it gets it. Anybody who gets it wants it. Subscribe for free today. Simply visit westnewsmagazine.com/subscribe.
Hey, it's Tim Jones. You need an event space that people will talk about later and forever? View 17 in Brentwood is that place. Perfect for corporate, private, or even public events. View 17 is ultra modern and fully broadcast ready for live streaming your event. And get this, all tech rentals are included in the rental fee. View 17 on the 17th floor of the old U Club Tower, like no other event space in the area. What a view. Check it out right now at VUE17.com. VUE17.com. I might even see you there.
Welcome home to St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
Things are still pretty rough. In this world of inflation, interest rate hikes,
Cryptocurrency schemes,
outright fraud.
101.9 and 94.1.
This is important news.
News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I triple dog dare you.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, quick note. The Missouri legislature gets underway, today, actually, for their annual session. And as we did last year, the afternoon show with former Missouri Speaker Tim Jones and Chris Arps, they are going to be live from the Missouri State Capitol. And so they will be grabbing all sorts of politicos and getting a lot of different perspectives and a take on what's happening in the Missouri legislature this year. I don't know why. I generally tend to not be hopeful with any sort of legislative session starts up, but I've got this little nook and cranny of my brain that says they might actually do some good conservative stuff this year.
Maybe this time.
Maybe this time. Maybe I'm Charlie Brown and I'm running towards Lucy with the ball. Maybe, but
she won't pull it out.
I've got a feeling that there could be some really good stuff this time around, especially with so many more actual conservatives elected to the state Senate.
I mean, I know we've talked to a number of lawmakers who were, ahead of everything. They've been involved in all the pre-filings, and they talked about some of their priorities and things like that. And they always make it sound like maybe this time.
I know,
and I get so hopeful. I know they as individuals are doing what they can, but sometimes you got to fight the tide and you lose.
Yeah.
So it's tough. Especially when there are people in leadership who aren't going to help you out. So I don't know what the leadership's going to pan out for, this time around, but I guess we'll see.
Will they look like Lucy?
Yeah.
With the football. All right. All right. The debacle in Washington, D.C. continues. It's going to be day 2. Will the Republicans settle on a Speaker of the House? I honestly don't know the answer to that question. Joined now by Thomas LeDuc. He's one of the writers at the awesome redstate.com. Thomas, first of all, welcome to the program. I think it's the first time you've been on with us, and you and your whole team of colleagues there approaching this from all these different angles. I got to tell you, these dissenters look like they have really dug in. I don't think anybody's going to go, all right, we made our point. Let's go ahead and play in the playground. This is some serious stuff happening right now, man.
It is. Thank you for having me, gentlemen. And I want to say real quick, if you guys just want to skip this topic and go back to Batman versus Superman comic books, I'm down with that, okay?
Gabe, no. Gabe, no. All right. But between Gabe and Brandon Morse, man, it gets out of control.
Yeah, you know what? The way it sounds, we're all going to have to do a podcast together or something.
Or about how you guys broke my heart in 2006, beating my Detroit Tigers in the World Series.
Oh, now the truth comes out.
Hey, easy, Mike.
That's right.
Mike, take it easy.
Yep, baseball guy here. I'm the baseball guy. Yep.
Well, let me just say that I'm really surprised by that. They did 3 votes yesterday, and that it went from 2 votes of 19 dissenting, then went up to 20, and then I think that totally surprised Kevin McCarthy. He was like, whoa, wait a minute. You're not supposed to add to the dissenters here, and that's why they went into the break. The dissenters have a point, and Kevin McCarthy, in the article that I wrote yesterday at Red State, he dropped out 7 years ago. He was in line after the crier, John Boehner, love him, miss him. He resigned. And McCarthy was number 2. He was in line, and then he just surprised the caucus when they went in to go, okay, and he dropped out. And he dropped out and he said, I don't have the votes. So what is it about Kevin McCarthy that people that serve with him don't like? That they're willing to go to this extreme, and this is really an extreme, but, quite frankly, is it that big of a deal? I mean, we fought a revolution for 7 years over taxes on tea. We've gone one day without a Speaker of the House, like everything's going to freeze and we're not going to get anything done. Because everything that McCarthy has said that he would do, like the first thing, we're going to defund the 87,000 IRS agents. Well, no, you're not. You're going to pass the bill. The Senate's going to let it languish. And even if they took it up, the president's not going to sign it. So let's have a fight that we always are hearing that conservatives are going to have and flesh it out a bit. And I actually think this is great for the country.
Good morning, Thomas. Gabe Pfeiffer here. Do you think, are you aware, I should say, of any sort of concessions that have already been won? I know we had the one thing about the no confidence vote change, but are there any other concessions that the dissenters have kind of won in this whole negotiation?
I got to tell you, that's a great question, Gabe. Here's my feeling on it. I haven't heard anything yet this morning, but Tucker Carlson last night went ahead and he basically laid out 2 things, and tipped him off of what a couple things that maybe they could find some middle ground on. McCarthy, though, so far, at least as of last night, before I got my beauty sleep. He was, nope, I'm the guy. This is it. In fact, I think he actually said, I deserve this. And, you guys know, politicians, when they actually believe some of the stuff that people tell them, their egos get so inflated sometimes they can't walk through a door. So, we'll see. If they come to a compromise, great. Kevin McCarthy becomes the speaker, fine. If he doesn't, fine. I'm not. I don't think this is the end of the country as we know it. I'm not all that worried about it. I kind of like the drama a little bit. It's better than the West Wing or House of Cards.
Hey, respond to this audio right here. This is Lauren Boebert, who was on Special Report with Brett Baer, being asked about this whole situation.
Right now, our candidate is Jim Jordan. He is a fighter. He is a leader. He may not want it right now, but George Washington did not want to be president. He did what was right for his country.
So do you think Jim Jordan is the consensus candidate?
Right now, he absolutely is. And every time that he speaks up to defend Kevin McCarthy, he actually just reaffirms why he would make a great speaker.
A lot of moving parts in that statement there, Thomas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was great. I did watch that. She's firm with Jim Jordan, and I don't know if everyone saw Jim Jordan was the person who nominated Kevin McCarthy before the second vote. He gave a great speech. I mean, I was almost like, yeah, just end it, after listening to Jim Jordan, who is, I truly believe he's a patriot. But if you want to go with an alternative candidate that you think would actually have the best, he would be able to implement the vision that he actually sees, as opposed to, Kevin McCarthy's a DC insider. He puts his finger in his mouth each day to check which way the wind's blowing. I don't think that's unfair. He's a very skilled politician. Jim Jordan would be a great alternative choice. And Lauren did sound like that she gave a little bit of wiggle room there, but honestly, not much.
So where do you think this is going to pan out? Do you think it's kind of a done deal? It's just a matter of time?
Yeah, it could be. I honestly, I talked to a couple of people last week that are inside the bubble there, and these people are ticked, and people like Congressman Gates down there in Florida. Last night he released that letter to the architect of the Capitol saying, "Why is Kevin McCarthy occupying the Speaker's office? He hasn't been selected as Speaker. When are you going to consider him a squatter?" There's some bridges being burned here by probably the five that originally said we're not going to vote for Kevin McCarthy under any circumstances. And I mean, with the margin being so small, they don't have a lot of room to operate on. And had the Republicans had a better national strategy, maybe they win by 20 and this isn't an issue. So this is something that you can there's more than enough blame to go around. And being in the deep blue state of Michigan like I am, I'm just going to blame the Washington insiders that have been there for a while for it. And I'm going to drink my coffee and giggle a lot, probably. Yeah,
which is, I think, a very valid response. We're talking with Thomas LaDuca. Thomas, just got about a minute and a half left here. So we talk about, the original dissenters, the five, and Matt Gaetz, I think it's fair to say, is kind of leading the charge on this. Is he just taking his political leverage and taking his political currency and going down in a blaze of glory? Because I don't see him saying, here's the committee I want once I lose on this. I mean, this is a fight to the end that could mean basically putting him into an irrelevant position if Kevin McCarthy does end up being the speaker.
It's a great question. Is Matt ever going to be the leader really of anything? I think this is his one and only time. He does tick people off. He does say things that are off the wall. He did say something yesterday that I found very interesting. Kevin McCarthy has had former President Trump's support throughout all of this. And Matt said last night, the former president's with us. So is he leading this charge and everything? Yeah. Can he continue to add to that? I mean, like I said, you had the second vote yesterday and then the third, and you had go from 19 to 20. Maybe they have more people peel off today. It's something, and hopefully cards aren't overplayed. That's what I usually hate to see, because when cards are overplayed, then you come to the end, and all of a sudden it's like, what were we fighting about this anyway for? Hopefully there are some concessions that are really meaningful that are made, and we'll find out.
Purely out of curiosity, what would be your choice as to how all this works out? Are we sticking with McCarthy and just kind of going with the concessions, or do you have somebody in mind who would be more effective?
I got to tell you, 7 years ago when McCarthy stepped aside, the pick that came up after 2 or 3 days was Paul Ryan. Now, Paul Ryan wasn't in leadership. Nobody was mentioning Paul Ryan. He was the House Ways and Means chairman. He loved that job. And they picked somebody out of the blue. Maybe they do it with a Jim Jordan who's gotten some votes. Maybe there's somebody else in there. Look, the Republicans have a 5-seat lead in the House. They're not going to be able to do much. The Senate's controlled firmly by the Dems now. Joe Biden, when he's awake and he knows that he's wearing pants, he's not going to work with them. So there's just the Republicans are just holding, their position for 2 years. I'm not going to expect much out of them other than lip service. And if you're going to get lip service, I guess to really answer your question, I'd rather have a Jim Jordan leading the charge than a Kevin McCarthy.
Yeah, I suspect almost everybody listening probably agrees with you. All right, Thomas LeDuc from redstate.com. Hey, appreciate you being on the program, man.
Thank you very much. You guys have a great morning there in St. Louis.
It will do. And we've tagged Thomas's Twitter on the News Talk STL Twitter, so give him a follow, and he puts out a lot of really good stuff. All right, Thomas LeDuc for redstate.com. All right, what do you think? 314-912-1019. And somebody else has offered to step in and become the speaker. I'll tell you who that is.
Really?
Just after this information break here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. But do you want to see the Republicans just get this over with, vote for McCarthy, or do you want to see a fight for somebody else like is happening right now? Let's talk about it. 314-912-1019. Like I said, 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com.
Had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference. Stop it right now.
John Michael Montgomery. Live. The multiple Grammy, CMA, and ACM award winner. John Michael Montgomery with McBride and the Ride. Friday, October 20th at the Family Arena. Reserved seats on sale Friday at 10 a.m. at the Carroll House box office located at the Family Arena or Ticketmaster. John Michael Montgomery, live in concert.
Yes, Epics and Classics featuring John Anderson with the Band Geeks. May 9th, the Family Arena, Progressive Pioneers. Yes, Epics and Classics featuring John Anderson with the Band Geeks live. Reserved seat tickets on sale now at the Carroll House box office at the Family Arena or through Ticketmaster. Don't miss Yes, Epics and Classics featuring John Anderson with the Band Geeks.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
I am a election denier because I don't think that 2020 was a free and fair election. And I get crap for that. But Stacey Abrams, the question was worded just like that. Was 2018 a free and fair election? She said no. Right. Why does she get to say it, but we don't get to say it?
Because you're not a Democrat.
I don't want to be one of those.
No, I don't either, Vic.
Vic Porcelli, weekday mornings at 9
on News Talk STL.
If you believe Brandon and the supply chain issues are still in crisis, or even if you don't, hurry into Southern Armory, your Second Amendment headquarters for the best selection of firearms, suppressors, holsters, ammunition, pepper spray, and knives. Browse through our constantly changing inventory, order something special, or have us repair or modify that firearm that you've been putting off. Try our firearms training simulator. See the demo video on our website. Come into Southern Armory, 9901 Watson Road, 1 mile east of 270 and 44, and southernarmory.com. That's southernarmory.com.
Fox News commentary.
Guess how many days President Joe spent on vacation in 2022? I'm Tommy Lahren, and I'll tell you next.
If I could be you.
And you could be me? For just 1 hour.
If you could find a way
to get inside each other's mind.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all felt left out. And for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
A good good leader can do a lot of good in 146 days, but not only is President Joe not a good leader, he used 146 days of 2022 to go on vacation. That's right, according to the RNC, he spent roughly 40% of last year out of the office. Not only are we the taxpayers on the hook for that, we also paid to have the $1.7 trillion omnibus spending bill flown to him to sign whilst on his latest vacation in the Virgin Islands. And I thought the Democrats were all about emissions and saving Mother Earth. Weird. You'd think with all the problems and threats facing this nation, like inflation, gas prices, the border invasion, China, Russia, Iran, and more, our president would put in extra work, but not Joe. Come to think of it, maybe his out-of-the-office Johns aren't so bad given all the horrible things he could do if he worked normal hours or normal work weeks. It's a double-edged sword, folks, and you're on the hook for it either way. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show Tommy Lahren is Fearless on Outkick.com.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL. Enable our Alexa skill.
Hello.
Hey, Alexa.
Yes, I'm listening.
Play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL.
All right, we've got Larry Connors joining the News Talk STL family next week. I mean, we say like next week because that's when the show starts, but all of St. Louis, there's a buzz about Larry coming to News Talk STL. Did you see all the news coverage of this yesterday?
I noticed that. Like, that was a big deal.
I know. I'm looking around and like even the Post-Dispatch wrote something on this. And they're like, yeah, Larry Connors is switching to moving up in the radio world. So Larry Connors' new show starts Monday at 6 p.m., right after Tim Jones and Chris Harps. And you're going to hear commentaries from him Monday through Friday throughout the week as well. So the one and the only Larry Connors, part of News Talk STL, he's going to be on with us tomorrow, by the way.
Because News Talk STL is a big deal. We're kind of a big deal.
Hey, just saying.
We have
just
many
saying.
leather-bound
Just
books.
I like the way he referred to himself, by the way. I'm Larry Connors USA.
That's right. I think that's the name of his show, I think.
It is.
Larry Connors USA or USA Reporter, or I forgot what the actual title is. I think we're still getting that put in the system.
It's called branding.
That's right. That's right. Okay, 314-912-1019. This whole thing with the Speaker of the House. Did you know, here's a little quirk of the Constitution. The Speaker of the House does not have to be a member of Congress.
Really?
Yep.
So it could be literally anybody.
Anybody who is otherwise eligible
For
to
president.
be there.
Right.
Well, you only have to be eligible to be president, because if you're ineligible to be president, they would skip to the Senate Majority Leader.
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
So there, for instance, because there have been members of the cabinet, the presidential cabinet, who have not been eligible to be president because of where they were born or whatever.
So you just get skipped in the line of succession.
You just get skipped in the line, precisely.
Okay.
And so somebody has offered himself as an alternative.
Who?
Former Congressman Justin Amash.
Okay. All right.
Here's his argument.
Okay.
If you look him up on Twitter, he says, I'm offering myself as an alternative. I'm reading his tweet right now. As an alternative independent choice for Speaker. I'm not a member of either party, because remember, he defected from the Republicans and joined the Libertarian Party. I'm not a member of either party in the House, and I've championed legislative process reforms under both Republican and Democratic leadership. Most important, I can be trusted to stick to my word. He goes on to say, Democrats know that regardless of our policy differences, they can count on me to maintain a system that is fair and representative. Every member will be empowered to legislate, and ideas will win based on votes, not dictates or pressure from the Speaker. He goes on to say, moreover, my record proves that I'm willing to take on Republicans, even some of my closest friends, to stand up for what I believe is right. I'm not beholden to either party, and my primary interest will be reinvigorating the institution to serve the people of a deliberative body. And then he goes on to say that he would, for instance, make sure that all members of Congress have time to adequately read bills before they actually vote on them.
Fancy that.
Weird thing that he's talking about.
Reading stuff.
But he says, you know what? It's not a requirement that you're currently a member of Congress. Because there were actually some people last week when it became apparent that there could be a showdown over speaker who were saying, well, just pick this person.
Right.
And I've heard everything, from former members of Congress. Somebody even said Donald Trump, which Donald Trump would not be interested in any way, shape, or form.
No.
And other people putting in there. So here's Justin Amash saying, I'll do it. I know how it works, and I've got reforms. Neither of the political parties want reforms.
No. I mean, that's kind of the uniparty swampiness of the whole thing, is that if you look at all of the nefarious things, all the things that us regular folk would look at that goes on in Congress and say, hey, that's not right. Nobody wants to get rid of those. The insider trading stuff, the rules about how voting is done, the fact that they could just kind of pack legislation full of pork without any sort of oversight, essentially. Just all of those regulations that would make sense, that would, I think, do well to improve the body. I think they are shunned by both parties. So a leadership change isn't going to do anything with those. And so anybody saying that they're going to do that in leadership doesn't have a leg to stand on. Nobody's going to vote for that.
Yep. All right. This is going to be very interesting today. Of course, keep in mind from 11 o'clock our time, which is when Congress reconvenes officially. But believe me, there are phone calls and texts and everything happening right now.
Oh, somebody's getting yelled at right now.
Somebody's getting yelled at. Somebody's getting begged. Somebody's debating. Somebody's arguing. There's a finger in at the end of somebody else's nose tip. I'm sure it's happening right now. So starting at 11 o'clock on 101.9, Dan Bongino, of course, he's live at that point. So you're going to have a really basically up to the minute discussion and coverage of that. Jimmy Fallon will be on our 94.1 signal. But Dan Bongino, if you're in the 101.9 area or on the streaming app, you're going to really stay up to date on that. All right, here we got a couple minutes here before the next information break. This debacle with Southwest Airlines.
Yes.
Gabe, do you guys know anybody who was caught up in that? My brother was.
I don't know anybody personally, but my daughter's flying in today on Southwest, and I'm little worried. I've got credits with Southwest for my Hawaii trip that I'm trying to spread out, and I'm worried about that too.
Yeah.
So
I will say that we had relatives flying from here to Denver to go to Breckenridge for Christmas break. They were on Southwest. They made it out okay, thankfully.
Oh, wow.
Did they make it back okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
My brother actually got caught. Now, we were joking still last week because he was caught visiting his in-laws who live in Turks and Caicos. So in this tropical island, we're like, yeah, sorry for your luck. You're stuck in a tropical island.
Stuck
So
in paradise.
sad.
But he has work, and he actually had to reschedule a dental surgery. So so a lot of people this is affecting. And if you're not somebody who can work from home, there are people who lost a week or more worth of work on this.
Actual income.
Yeah, this hurt a lot of people. So Fox News' Hillary Barsky is pointing out the Southwest Airlines is trying to make up for it.
Southwest has started to hand out 25,000 frequent flyer points to customers affected by its holiday meltdown. The bonus miles are in addition to ticket refunds and reimbursement for expenses. They also came along with a note from Southwest Chief Executive Bob Jordan saying that no amount of apologies can undo your experience. The airline hasn't disclosed the number of passengers affected by nearly 16,000 flight cancellations. Southwest says the bonus points are worth more than $300. However, the value will vary based on factors including trip distance and demand. Hillary Barsky, Fox News.
I told my brother, I said, you need to save your receipts for everything that you had to, because he had to buy tickets for him, his wife, and her two daughters on another airline at like triple the cost just to get back. Otherwise, they would have been stuck away from their home even longer. Southwest Airlines at first was saying, well, there was the winter storm. Turns out that they have an antiquated scheduling system.
Yes.
That's what happened.
Yeah. And that's been a problem for a long time.
Yep.
And they the reason they're so cheap is because they practice this just in time sort of system. So all those moving parts have to be there at just the right time. And if it messes up, there's a cascade failure if your system's not robust enough.
I will say that I had a friend coming in from Japan for Christmas. He made it all the way from Osaka to Dallas, and they got stuck in Dallas for 2 days.
Oh, wow.
Because of his Southwest flight from Dallas to get to St. Louis. Oh. And he had to pay everything there. He had to pay hotel, et cetera. Who knows where his luggage ended up? I'm presuming he got it okay, but it wound up taking 2 days off of his stay here in St. Louis.
Yeah. I mean, my wife travels a lot for her work. We were supposed to do some traveling here in a couple weeks, and I told her, I said, I'm nervous flying on Southwest right now. If you've got a tight schedule, if you're just on vacation and you can,
you gotta
risk
float it. Yeah.
Let me just put this in everybody's head. Is this the price that we pay for having cheap fares all these years?
Maybe.
Maybe not. Or is it just a competent management?
16,000 flights?
16,000 flights and what, 200 people per flight?
Yep.
Plus?
3.2 million.
Jeez. Yikes. 314-912-1019. A quick update on the whole masking religion. That's getting pushed again. That came up in conversation yesterday, so I decided to do a little looking into it. I'll tell you what I found right around 7:35 here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Hey, it's Joe Pags. Catch me tonight at 7 o'clock. But right now, back to more of Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
Thanks for taking my call.
Right here.
My point about the governor there, it is absolutely about power.
I read this, I almost fell out of my chair.
News Talk STL.
This thing is just absolutely dripping with iron.
News, analysis, opinion.
From the News Talk STL newsroom, I'm Joey Vasovich. 400 students at Maplewood Richmond Heights Elementary School will remain home until January 9th following a major water pipe rupture on Christmas Day. 19 classrooms, offices, the library, and the gym were all damaged. Richmond Heights will hold a day camp at the Heights as an option for parents. Emerson has donated 250 acres and a conference center located at its corporate retreat facility to a St. Louis-based nonprofit called Concordance. The nonprofit provides reentry services to individuals released from incarceration. Frank J. Bomarito, the founder of a large chain of St. Louis area auto dealerships bearing his family name, died Monday in Naples, Florida at the age of 88. Bomarito's company grew from a single Oldsmobile dealership in Ellisville to multiple locations across the area with more than 1,000 employees. Missouri's new Attorney General, Andrew Bailey, officially took office Tuesday during an inaugural ceremony at the state Supreme Court. Missouri Eastern District Appeals Court Judge Kelly Broniak swore Bailey in. Governor Parson appointed Bailey to replace Eric Schmidt. Comedians Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle announced they are coming to Enterprise Center on January 22nd as part of a co-headlining tour. General public tickets go on sale this Friday at 10 a.m. And in hockey, the Blues beat the Maple Leafs 6-5 in a shootout in Toronto last night. Next up, the Blues head to New Jersey to face the Devils tomorrow night. Puck drop is at 6 p.m. For in-depth coverage of these stories and more, go to newstalkstl.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm News 4 meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. After a record-setting temperature yesterday, a cold front overnight dropped temperatures today to more seasonable for this time of year. So we're feeling the January cold, temperatures topping out near 42 degrees, light wind, and overall we'll have partly sunny skies. Now for the next couple of days, we're enjoying a dry weather, but watch the weekend, showers return Saturday. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Help us map the broadband gap. Missouri's Office of Broadband wants to connect all Missourians to reliable, high-speed internet. But we need to know who doesn't have access. Go to ded.mo.gov/getconnected to check the FCC map and see if you are listed correctly. Don't wait. Go to ded.mo.gov/getconnected today. Brought to you by the Missouri Department of Economic Development.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
Thanks for being my voice in all this.
This is News Talk STL.
There are people out there that feel the way that I feel and say what I say.
Welcome home. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL.
You know, speaking of the social media right there, I would love to see us get your voice out a little bit more.
Yeah.
And, you know, Gabe and I and Stell, because we do the social media stuff, you know, as part of our job, we get the algorithms and how that works. On Rumble in particular, we are almost at 17,000 subscribers. Can we get that up past 17,000? Can we do that, please?
Do the thing.
Let's just do it. So if you're not on Rumble, Rumble is, and this was, you know, Dan Bongino was one of the founders of Rumble on this. He's one of the co-owners. I think he's still one of the co-owners. They've gone public.
I believe so, yeah.
And so this is basically YouTube without the censorship.
Right.
Which is why I like Rumble so much. It's really easy to use as well. Even if you don't have a Rumble account, you can still watch us on Rumble. You can still watch videos. Rumble links are so easy to share as well. It'll easily as YouTube. So if you're watching us on Rumble, please just click the link at the top and maybe put it in your Facebook or Twitter or Getter or wherever, and just help us get the word out. If you haven't already subscribed to us on Rumble, please do that as well. Obviously, Facebook, you know, because we post news updates throughout the day, all kinds of extra things. Tony does, you know, once a week. He and Vic Porcelli do their talking with their hands thing, which is hilarious. And you know, Katie Fitzpatrick is back, and you know she always does great stuff as well. So the important thing though is that this is how we amplify your voice and amplify the discussions and amplify the debates that are happening, and this is the way to do it. So when you subscribe, when you like, when you share, it helps get your voice out in front of more people just because of the way that all the geeky algorithms work. So please help us help you. Follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, like us on Rumble, subscribe to Mike Ferguson in the Morning on YouTube. You know, Vic Show and Katie and Columbo and Tim, they also have YouTube channels, but Mike Ferguson in the Morning does have a channel on YouTube as well. All right, it is, what the heck time is it? 7:39. Gabe Pfeiffer's here. Stell is here as well. What is the deal with the masking thing?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
Here we go again.
I mean, I don't want to use all the same talking points. On the January 1st, you know, of course, Monday, beautiful weather, Rachel and I decided to go take a walk at Forest Park. There weren't very many, but there were a number of people walking around outdoors at Forest Park still wearing those paper masks.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Especially outdoors. Especially
outdoors.
You know, alone in your car. All those. I keep seeing it.
Yeah.
Everywhere still, and I don't get it. I don't understand what you think you're going to accomplish with this.
I mean, I find myself now starting to get snotty. You know, when I see people who are doing that. You know, I got angry in the throes of the whole government shutdown COVID era. I refuse to say COVID pandemic because the numbers are shaking out. We're looking back, and this really was not a pandemic like the Spanish flu.
Not a real.
It was a plandemic, as I like to call it.
There you go.
So, but I would see school children in the Maplewood Richmond Heights School District walking back to their houses in our neighborhood. Children outdoors by themselves walking back home with a mask on, and I'm thinking, you have broken those children. But with the left, I don't get this. I don't know what this is with these masks. I don't get it. We talked about some school districts that are bringing back mask requirements.
Mm-hmm.
And we're seeing that around the country. I know that there was some in Los Angeles. I'm looking at an article on the media research folks, mrctv.org, and Brittany Hughes has an article there on Philadelphia. Has now said, well, just a couple weeks to protect us because flu, RSV, and COVID are around again. So they said, even if you don't like it, just please do it for everybody. And in ABC has an article saying that the Patterson School District and the Camden City School District in New Jersey have brought back mandatory universal masking.
Well, why?
I know. I don't get why this is the virtue signaling for the left. And that's really all that it is at this point. We know that the paper masks don't work. I mean, that's really not up for serious debate.
Right.
They don't make a difference.
No, not an appreciable one for sure.
Right.
And then, I mean, even in terms of transmission, we know the dang vaccine doesn't work all that much,
right.
In terms of stopping transmission. Sure, I mean, it's kind of like a pre-therapeutic to keep the symptoms down and stuff like that, which is good, especially if you're compromised. But my goodness, why are we still here? Why are we still having this fight? Why are we still hurting our kids? That's the thing that really gets me, because we know that masks have a detrimental effect on kids.
Well, to use a hockey phrase, it's a power play.
Yeah.
In my estimation.
So they feel like they got us in a corner.
Yes.
Essentially.
You remember the name Dr. Ezekiel Emanuel?
Oh, yeah.
He is known as the architect of Obamacare, which has essentially failed every aspect of our healthcare system. He is now out there saying, he spoke with MSNBC, so you know it's a good source of information. He was speaking to Andrea Mitchell, and he says during the Andrea Mitchell reports, he is quoted as saying, it's spreading, meaning the new variant that they're putting out, that they're talking about. He said it's spreading very rapidly, which means it can evade and outcompete the other subvariants. It seems to avoid the antibodies, but also bind more tightly to cells, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So his answer, wear a mask.
Oh, really?
Wear a mask.
His answer to the variant is that, bro.
You can't use that word that you're thinking right now.
Bro, look, the thing about variants is they're still viruses.
Yeah.
It's still the same size. It still moves in the same way through the air as every other variant. So why would the variant matter in terms of the efficacy of the masks? This is an educated man.
Yeah, the doctor. He's a medical doctor.
This is a doctor. See, this is why we don't trust anybody anymore.
And that's huge. That is, at some point there is going to be something else that comes up naturally, or otherwise, and we don't have anybody credible to go to for information. Had all of the powers that be, or even the advisory groups, I'm talking about still like the CDC, and I'm talking about the NIH and all of the local health department, the state, if they had all not tried to micromanage and control our lives, if they were not rushing out into the ocean to arrest somebody on a jet ski,
right.
if they were not closing churches, if they were not destroying jobs, if they were not saying you're not allowed to go to this locally owned business, but you can stand in line
at a box store
in 100-degree weather, if they had just said, listen, we're going to tell you what we know, we're going to give you the best advice. As we learn more, it may change. We hope you make the safest decisions possible and help. I think they would have had a much more favorable reaction, but instead it quickly became about they're not complying and doing what government told them to do. That became the focus.
Yeah, I mean, what we ended up having happen is that the white coat mafia, as I call them, became the de facto intelligentsia, the de facto ruling party of America. So what they said when they got up to a podium and they said something, it wasn't advice. It was essentially a directive for all federal agencies and therefore state and local agencies and even individuals who own companies. Now they had to dictate exactly what the white coats had said.
And if anybody said anything contrary, they were squashed.
Yes.
Canceled.
Yes.
Absolutely.
They were demonized. They were pushed to, and it turns out that those people, were right. I'm remembering some of the businesses here in St. Louis who were putting out on social media, if you don't care enough about anybody else to do this, this, and this, and this, we don't want your business.
Some people were saying we should be jailed.
Yeah. Well, in other parts of the world, people were essentially jailed.
Yes.
People were literally locked in their homes in some parts of the world. So this whole thing is just amazing to me that even those with whom we disagree still think this is a viable option. We need to start mandating things again.
Is it just ignorance or is it something else?
Evil.
It's hard to argue.
It really is. All right, 314-912-1019. Okay, some people on the internet had something to say.
Okay.
About everything?
There was a survey done, and then there was a question posed on Reddit, and some of these things are pretty funny. What are the things that are not common and normal now that we should normalize?
Okay.
They have thoughts. We have reactions. Some of them I'm okay with. Some of them not so much. I'll tell you what they are. And then at 8:05, Hans von Spakovsky is going to be talking about whether pre-Elon Musk Twitter actually violated federal election law rules.
Mm-hmm.
This is interesting stuff. It's all ahead right here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. The Vic Porcelli Show.
Wednesday at 10:41, we'll get our first report from the St. Louis County Council with St. Louis County Councilman Mark Harder. That's at 10:41.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Another great one for you, ladies and gentlemen. The new joke, Uncle Sam's short form for taxes. The first line, how much did you make? The next line, send it all in.
You know, that's really not that funny. But it's what a lot of people do in retirement. They take money out of their 401k or IRA and end up sending it in when they pay the taxes. Steve All at the All Financial Group believes there's a better plan for your retirement than Uncle Sam's plan. In fact, he invites you to take the All Tax Challenge. What if your current plan included thousands of dollars in unnecessary taxes and fees? What if you're headed for higher Medicare premiums and a lower Social Security check? What if the savings you realized would allow you to retire early? Wouldn't you want to know about that now? Take the All Financial Tax Challenge and find out. There's no charge. Call Steve today at 636-230-8824 or online at yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Investment advisory services offered by All Financial Group, LLC, a registered investment advisor in Missouri. Insurance products are offered through its affiliate, All Insurance Group, LLC, licensed in Missouri and Illinois.
Hey, it's Mike Ferguson here. Everybody here at News Talk STL is incredibly grateful for the growth of our business during our first 18 months since we signed on the air. We appreciate the great local businesses like Clear Path Wealth Management, STL Fence Works, and Michael's Flooring that have all become advertising partners. If your business is interested in becoming part of the News Talk STL family, simply send an email to info@newstalkstl.com. Thanks for listening to News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Family owned and operated since 1989. Cafe Napoli in Clayton, Napoli 2 in Town and Country, Napoli 3 on the streets of St. Charles, plus Cafe Napoli sponsoring Larry Connors USA starting January 9, right here on News Talk STL.
News, analysis, opinion.
Missile and artillery firing in the East China Sea.
Vladimir Zelensky.
Your money is not charity. It's an investment in the global security.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hi, this is Kira Davis from RedState.com, and you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
.805, we've got Hans von Spakovsky, one of the premier legal minds, especially when it comes to elections in campaigns and elections and campaign election law in this country. Obviously, with the Heritage Foundation, you see him on Fox News all the time and Newsmax all the time. And he's going to be with us at 8:05. Did pre-Elon Musk Twitter actually violate campaign finance laws by cooperating, some would say colluding, with the Biden campaign?
Like legit,
back in the day.
Legit violations.
Right. Absolutely. As in criminal violations.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that may sound like an outlandish question, but it may not be. So you definitely want to hear what Hans has to say about that at about 8:05 or so. I'm Mike Ferguson, 7:50 right now. Stella's here. Gabe is here. Some people had something to say on the internet, so let's talk about it.
Like you're gonna
How's
have
that for like the worst tease ever.
You're gonna have to narrow that down, Mike. Narrow that down
Okay.
a little bit.
Two areas. BuzzFeed looked at, I don't know if it was a survey, but there was also this list on Reddit where they asked women in particular, what are 10 uncommon things or what are uncommon things that should be normal, that we should just accept more?
Okay.
not look at as weird.
All right.
Okay, so here's what they came up with on these.
Now, this is BuzzFeed.
BuzzFeed, and then some of this was also in Reddit because there was a lot of overlap between the two.
Okay.
Number one, and I agree with this one.
Okay.
Going out to eat by yourself. I've been doing that for years.
Okay. Yeah.
I have no problem going to a restaurant and sitting there by myself and having a meal.
Oh, yeah.
I've done that for years.
During college, that was pretty much standard. Just because I was always on the move. I couldn't coordinate with my friends enough to actually sit and do that.
Right.
So I was like, oh, I got to eat. So.
Right. Well, and I work into this business still. You know how it is. We work odd shifts. We work different schedules than what most people work. And so I have no problem going to, even a, maybe not super upscale, like, expensive steakhouse or something like that, but going to a
diner.
Nice, a diner, even a nice, middle of the road, restaurant type thing.
Yes.
I have no problem going to eat by myself.
Maybe I didn't know that it wasn't normal.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that feel weird about it.
Oh,
they just
okay.
the idea of going by themselves to something, it's not on here, but I used to go to movies all the time by myself.
Movies is on another one, yeah.
And people are like, why? Why would you go by yourself? I'm like, I'm looking at the movie. Why? I'm not supposed to be talking to anybody else.
Right, exactly.
I'm supposed to see the movie.
I got to be honest with you, though, having been married 47 years, there are times if I go eat by myself, like at Blue City Deli or some other place, I do feel awkward because Kathy's not with me.
Yeah, that makes
and I've
sense.
always done stuff together with her, and all of a sudden I realize, hey, I'm here by myself.
Well,
This
yeah,
is odd.
I mean, after a couple decades of doing a lot together, it does feel weird to do things by yourself. That's
Yeah.
true. That's
By the way, can I just point out that we had that ad for Larry Connor's new show sponsored by Napoli, which I didn't realize that the Napoli chain of restaurants, that's where I had my birthday.
Yeah.
We did a birthday lunch instead of a dinner. And so a couple of our good friends, we all met and went to Napoli in St. Charles.
Great place.
that's
Love that
awesome.
place. Love that place.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, how about this one? And again, this is something that I think would come from women more than from men.
Mm-hmm.
They think that it should become normalized to have adult slumber parties. Now, we're not talking about like the weird stuff. We're just talking about friends getting
a
over.
sleepover.
We're going to watch a sleepover like you do with kids, but with adults.
With pillow fights and everything? Okay.
Well, I don't know. See, the thing, my problem
that
is
strikes me as weird.
My problem is I'm an introvert. So
Yeah.
there comes a point where no matter how much I like you, you have to leave my house.
Yeah.
It's like I don't like the idea. It's like it's one thing to have a house guest too, somebody
Right.
who's staying, and it's another to basically say I now need to entertain for the duration of several hours across 2 days. I was like, no, I'm not doing that.
You know what? We had a great out during all the years because Kathy taught for 35 years. It was always a great out to say, tomorrow's a school day.
That's right.
You got 30 minutes.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, when you're in college, you crash at each other's apartments or dorms all the time for a variety of reasons. But they're talking about like grown-ups, full-on adults, having a night. Come on over. Everybody spend the night. We'll get movies or dinner or play cards or whatever. That seems a little odd if it's not New Year's Eve.
Now, that was primarily women, you said, who answered
Yeah,
that?
they were asking women on this.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that they're probably single women.
Yeah, that could be.
I'm just saying, because I don't know any married women who are really all about the slumber party.
Okay, now I'm going to get into the awkward one.
Okay. That one wasn't awkward?
That one wasn't awkward. That was a warm-up. That was a primer.
Okay.
So according to this BuzzFeed list and the Reddit thread called Ask Women, they think that an uncommon thing that should be normalized, and I would say uncommon in the United States.
Okay.
Affection, and I think they're talking about physical affection between men. That's purely platonic. So we're not talking about a gay rights thing. We're talking about, because in other countries around the country,
Around the world.
around the world, adult men
Kiss on the cheek.
heterosexual, whether it's kissing or holding hands in some countries,
Yes.
even like snuggling, and it's very odd to us. And
Yes.
they're saying this should become normal here. I say no.
No.
Coming from a Greek background
Yeah.
and knowing what they do in the Mediterranean, I'm okay with it because I kind of grew up with it. So
Okay.
the Italian, Greek,
Well, you're talking kiss on both cheeks.
yeah, and hugging, etc.
Oh, yeah, that's, okay. I hug my bros.
Uh-huh.
I do.
Do you hug or do you do the bro hug?
Okay.
The whole like one hand,
there's
shoulder.
a one, there's a one hand shoulder grab, right? That's level 1. Level 2 is full on arms, but you're patting. It's a couple of pats, couple hard pats. They got to be hard. You got to hear
they
them.
got to be hard. Yeah.
You got to hear them.
See, I'm level 3.
Okay.
I go,
and you just hold it. See, so, and maybe this is introvert stuff, or maybe it's just cultural stuff.
No hip thrust.
No, definitely no hip thrust. Definitely no hip thrust.
Maybe a little knee action.
No, but I mean,
This is why I said no.
If I'm really like if it's my brother, I will give them a hug, like an actual hug, to show affection. But I don't know, the snuggling, like that's a
because
that's not a Greek thing, right?
There are places in Europe where you'll just see guys like put their arm around just what. Yeah, okay, I mean, it's normal there. I'm not going to make fun of it. It's their culture.
Sure.
It just doesn't work for me here, man.
Awkward.
I'm just
kind of awkward.
That's awkward. Yeah.
It took me a long time to even get to where I could like do the bro hug thing. I mean, and it's got to be fast, man. I mean, it's
like don't hold on for too long.
Yeah.
You get a tenth of a second, okay, and then you got to back off.
Okay, so in the last 30 seconds or so we got here, I totally agree with this one,
Okay.
and this is something I think we need to re-normalize.
Okay.
Dressing to impress when you're going to things like flying or dining out, job interview. I say this I'm wearing a T-shirt right now, but I mean, people used to put on basic, well-dressed threads just to go out and interact with other people.
I mean, look, in the 20s, people were on bread lines in 3-piece suits.
Yes.
You can put on a jacket.
Yes. I would love to see us get back to that.
Oh, gosh.
I think
those
so.
pictures with the guys with the chains.
Absolutely. All right, Hans von Spakovsky coming just ahead.
Hi, I'm Dr. Alan Link. Your smile is your number one asset.
I was in a car accident. My front tooth cracked. I'm definitely embarrassed to smile. I got mini dental implants. It changed my life.
If you are missing one or more teeth or suffer from loose dentures, mini dental implants might be the solution for you. I have placed mini implants with amazing results. Mini dental implants are less invasive, less painful, and your recovery time is much shorter. Let me give you your self-confidence back and give you the ability to eat the foods that you love to eat, but that you simply can't at this point. Plus, best of all, the cost to you is much less than with older, more traditional dental implants.
It made me feel like me. Like I can smile and feel like Ashley. Just want to say thank you.
We are here to help you at the Dental Link.
Call Dr. Alan Link today at 314-794-6464 to schedule your free consultation. Offices in Baldwin and Melville. That's the Dental Link at 314-794-6464.
Do you own an annuity, either fixed rate, indexed, or variable? Are you paying high fees and getting low returns? If so, Annuity General would like you to have this free book to learn the pitfalls and mistakes of buying an annuity. The Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers contains the little-known truths about annuities, like how to help reduce your fees and increase retirement income. And it's free. That's right, free. As a bonus, we'll also throw in a free annuity rate report just for calling. We researched over 1,000 annuities and summarized rates and benefits from financially strong insurers. You get Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers and the Annuity Rate Report, both absolutely free for calling Annuity General today. Hurry, supplies are limited. Call now.
800-649-8619. 800-649-8619. 800-649-8619. That's 800-649-8619.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. The House reconvenes in a few hours with Republicans who hold a fourth round of voting for Speaker. 3 ballots yesterday failing to net Kevin McCarthy the required 218 votes. McCarthy setting a record in the House, while Republican leader McConnell sets a record of a different kind in the Senate.
On Tuesday, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell became the longest-serving party leader in the history of the Senate. And on the other side of the Capitol, Congressman Kevin McCarthy became the first party leader in a century not to obtain a majority of votes cast for Speaker in the first round of voting for that position. These diverging fates are a reflection of the status of the GOP on Capitol Hill, the minority in the Senate, and a new majority in the House. But they also reflect that the top leadership position in the House is categorically different than that in the Senate and a much tougher one to secure. Bernie Bennett, Capitol Hill.
The NFL and the city of Cincinnati rallying around Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin. He collapsed during a Monday night game, suffering cardiac arrest on the field.
Hamlin is from Pittsburgh. He first met Steelers coach Mike Tomlin when he was 12.
They got a lot of love for that young man. We lifted him and that organization up in prayer.
Fans have gathered outside University of Cincinnati Medical Center. Bills fans and Bengals fans like Billy Jefferson.
It was just a big shock. It was just a big silence. No one knew what to do.
At Crossroads Church uptown in Cincinnati.
We don't know who God's going to answer, so we're just going to go for it.
People like Kristen Wooten gathered to pray for the healing of Damar Hamlin's heart.
If I'm going to go down, I'm going to go down swinging for this guy because he deserves it.
Hamlin's family expressed gratitude for the support, saying, "Keep praying." I'm Ed Donahue.
Ryan Koberger, accused of the November killings of 4 University of Idaho students, has agreed to be extradited from Pennsylvania, where he's arrested last week and face charges in Idaho. Wall Street now futures up 135 points. NASDAQ futures ahead 88 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Factor pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
Angie's List is now Angie, and we've heard a lot of theories about why.
I thought it was an eco move. Fewer words, less paper.
No, it was so you could say it faster. No, it's to be more iconic.
Must be a tech thing. But those aren't quite right. It's because now you can compare upfront prices, book a service instantly, and even get your project handled from start to finish.
Sounds easy.
It is, and it makes us so much more than just a list. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm News 4 meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. After a record-setting temperature yesterday, a cold front overnight dropped temperatures today to more seasonable for this time of year. So we're feeling the January cold. Temperatures topping out near 42 degrees. Light wind, and overall we'll have partly sunny skies. Now for the next couple of days, we're enjoying a dry weather, but watch the weekend. Showers return Saturday. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD. Don't miss a special broadcast of Jones and Arps this Wednesday live from the Missouri State Capitol for the opening of the 2023 legislative session. Tim Jones and Chris Arps live from Jeff City this Wednesday at 3:30 on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
Just because you're offended, it doesn't mean you're right.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I love Jesus. He was my superhero. Twitter is like being able to read every toilet wall in the world.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
I think we are on the Twitter files batch number about 58 at this point. Okay, not quite that many, but we're getting a lot of information on how Twitter has been operating over the last couple of years since Elon Musk has taken over. And there's a lot of damning receipts that Elon Musk has released to the public about the company that he now owns. So in addition to confirming bias and in addition to confirming that some viewpoints were suppressed, is there more to it? Could Twitter have actually violated federal election laws? I'm Mike Ferguson. I am now joined by Heritage Foundation Senior Legal Fellow Hans von Spakovsky. And Hans, I caught your article that you wrote for Fox News on this, and I know you've talked about it all over the country. I appreciate you being on the program. We know now that Twitter has essentially confirmed what a lot of people believed, that there was a lot of bias in how they decided what got banned and suspended and all that kind of thing. You're writing that the Federal Elections Commission should reopen an investigation into Twitter. Now, when you say reopen, that implies that there was one before that didn't result in any action.
No, that's right. And what I'm talking about here is the Federal Election Commission, where, by the way, Mike, I served as a commissioner for 2 years. The FEC's job is to enforce the federal law that governs the raising and spending of money for federal campaigns. And after the 2020 election, a number of complaints were filed against Twitter and several of its executives, claiming that they had, by suppressing the Hunter Biden laptop story, that they had basically made a banned corporate contribution to the Biden campaign. And what folks I think probably know is that corporations under federal law are banned from making any kind of contribution to a candidate, whether it's cash or an in-kind contribution. It was investigated by the FEC, but in September of last year, the commission dismissed the case, saying that there was no evidence that Twitter had engaged in coordination with the Biden campaign, and that Twitter had actually a bona fide commercial reason for suppressing the laptop story. Well, we now know that both of those reasons were untrue. For example, the reason the FEC ruled that there was no evidence that Twitter had illegally coordinated with the Biden campaign was because Twitter executives submitted sworn statements to the FEC saying that they were not in any way communicating with the Biden campaign. We now know, of course, they were. They had all kinds of communications with political actors and political parties and candidates. But second, they said their bona fide commercial reason for suppressing the story was because of their policy against publishing hacked materials. Well, first of all, these weren't hacked materials. They came straight off of Hunter Biden's laptop. There was no evidence of any kind at the time, or even today, that these were hacked materials. But most important is the Twitter disclosures show that there was internal questioning by Twitter executives saying, well, this doesn't really appear to be within our don't publish hacked materials policy. They just simply use that as an excuse for doing it. So the two bases on which the FEC dismissed this complaint and said, no illegal corporate contribution, were both, it looks like, wrong. And so they need to reopen the case based on all this new evidence that's come out.
So where's the line between just being biased as an organization or a media outlet and contributing in kind to a campaign? I mean, you can look at pretty much any cable company, news company, and say, well, they're biased towards or against one side. So at what point does that cross the line from a legal perspective into an in-kind donation?
Well, media companies can do that because there's actually an exemption in the federal law for media companies, particularly for publishers. But remember, Twitter has stated for years that they are not a publisher. And so therefore the media exemption wouldn't apply to them. Moreover, it's quite a different situation if there's coordination going on between the organization and the Biden campaign. And that's what they need to explore to see whether or not there was illegal coordination going on and therefore an illegal corporate contribution. It's worth looking into because, like I said, everything the FEC based its decision on it may have been false. Not only that, but Mike, if those Twitter executives lied to the FEC, remember, they did this in sworn affidavits, that's perjury. And so if the FEC finds that they actually were lied to, they have an obligation to make a criminal referral to the Justice Department for possible investigation and prosecution of perjury.
The article is called FEC Needs to Reopen Twitter Probe Now That Documents Must Released Show Company May Have Outright Lied, and that's at foxnews.com. Does it matter, Hans, if you can assess a monetary value of an in-kind donation, or particularly, as you were pointing out, the coordination, which we now know did happen? Does it matter that there may or may not be a monetary value versus we just work to influence the narrative and the discussion?
Well, no, because that there is a monetary value to that. It might be hard to determine, but corporations are banned, like I said, from in any way helping a campaign. And if they are suppressing a news story that helps the campaign, there's value in that. And there it would just simply be a matter of the FEC trying to determine what the value of that was. That's the kind of thing that allows them to figure out, well, how big of a civil penalty or fine is imposed on the corporation.
A lot of people will say, okay, we're looking at what led up to the 2020 election. Why does this still matter now? I mean, why would it be important for the FEC to do this investigation? I mean, it seems like all the evidence is right there. But moving forward, why does this matter for future elections?
It matters because if in fact Twitter violated the law and gets away with it, that will be a signal to other social media companies that they can engage in this kind of work and actions to influence political elections, and we shouldn't allow that to happen. If they really are simply going to be posting the opinions and views of Americans, they should do it in a nonpartisan, objective manner, and should not be using their power to try to influence the outcome of an election, which it appears they were doing here.
Okay, we've got a little bit over a minute left, Hans. And so is there still room with everything you just said for a social media company or any kind of platform to still have some guardrails or guidelines as to what they find acceptable or don't find acceptable when it comes to news or politics or opinion? Basically, can a company still say, we still want to have some kind of control over what's said on our platform?
Well, I think the only limit that they should put in there is one that says that we're not going to allow calls to violence. But otherwise, they ought to let Americans freely express their opinions. And, Mike, everything we've heard, we haven't actually talked about, but everything we've heard about how the FBI was actually involved in coordinating with Twitter to censor people's opinions, that is even more shocking and ought to scare every American, no matter what their political views and political affiliations.
Is that potentially criminal?
I think it is. I think it certainly is a potential violation of the civil rights of the individuals whose opinions were censored.
All right. And does it look like with all of the backlash we're seeing to all this evidence that's being released, and I'm completely going to shortchange you on the time for the answer, do you think that this is scaring maybe current and future federal governments into laying back on trying to do this in the future?
I hope so. I hope it has that deterrent effect.
All right. Hans von Spakovsky from the Heritage Foundation, Senior Fellow, thank you so much for being on the program again.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
All right. Do you have any thoughts on this? Let's talk about it. 314-912-1019. Obviously, you can find Hans's work at foxnews.com, but of course, you can find it at heritage.org as well. And Hans is regularly a guest on Fox and Newsmax, so you can keep up with what he's doing. And when he says this looks like criminal behavior that happened, that's significant, because he was, like you said, a national commissioner. He was on President Trump's election commission, appointed to that office as well. And Hans von Spakovsky's got one of the reputations as just one of the sharpest legal minds in the country, particularly when it comes to elections. So 314-912-1019. You want to chime in on this? I want to hear what you have to say. Let's talk about it right here on 1019 and 94.1 News Talk. Yes.
Enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference. Stop it right now before you blow us all away. You wanna do that? Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up, this is your curtain call.
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
You want want Steph's Pizza, but you're in Lake St. Louis and it's just too far to go. Not anymore. Now you can feed that Steph's Pizza craving quickly and conveniently in Lake St. Louis. Same great menu with a new location. 111 Pond Fort Trail in Lake St. Louis. Steph's Pizza in the Chesterfield Valley on Long Road, in St. Peter's on Jungerman, and now in Lake St. Louis. Check them out at stephspizza.com because tonight's a good night for Steph's Pizza.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Senator Jim Talent. We live in an age where saying common sense things is considered to be controversial or even revolutionary. Like, we need oil and gas. Yeah, I think we do. Or maybe we shouldn't shut down the schools. Maybe it's not a really great idea when troubled teenagers come in and just to rush to pump them full of drugs.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 3:30 on News Talk STL.
My wife cannot stop talking about this cabin that we want to buy or maybe build, but probably buy in southeast Missouri, down in the St. Genevieve area, kind of in the wine belt of the state down there. She's really looking forward to that. We can't wait to have it as kind of a weekend getaway home, maybe an investment property, doing some Airbnb type thing. But when it was time, when we decided we're going to do this, there was only one number that we had to call, 314-810-SOLD. I called my friends Rodney and Jen. Well, Mike Ferguson here for the Walner Home Selling Team with Berkshire Hathaway. And you talk to Rodney and Jen by calling them at 314-810-SOLD just for a few minutes, and you're going to go, yep, that's why Mike wants to do his real estate business with Rodney and Jen. I know there's a lot of people who are scared away from even thinking about buying or selling a home or a property, but you shouldn't be. Maybe it's the right time for you. Maybe it's not the right time for you. But I guarantee you this, when you talk to Rodney and Jen Wallner, you are going to get an honest opinion and you are going to get solid advice that you can count on. How do I know this? Because they give me solid advice that my wife and I can count on as well. I wouldn't work with anybody else when it comes to buying a property. I don't think Rachel and I are going to be selling our home anytime soon. We like where we live. But when it comes to buying, Rodney and Jen Wallner, 314-810-SOLD. You're looking to move. Don't be scared out of making the right decision for you and your family just because of what you see on the cable news channels. This might be the right time to sell a home. And if you are ready to sell, they have got so many pre-qualified buyers that they guarantee you're going to get an offer. Just talk to them for a couple of minutes, no obligation. And you're going to find out that these are really good people who are really good at their jobs and will put you and your family's best interest at heart. That's why they've been so successful. 314-810-SOLD, 314-810-SOLD.
In times of economic uncertainty and chaos, your money means nothing. You may not even be able to get it from your bank or ATM. And the money you do have in the stock market will go down and down. What you can bank on is gold and silver. Gold and silver have been a reliable and trusted form of currency for thousands of years. Gold and silver have never been worth zero, and typically gold holds its value during economic turmoil. Call the Gold Hotline now and learn how to protect your money and your assets with gold and silver. And learn how to set up a new IRA or roll over your current one into a gold-backed IRA. Protect your money from the next market crash with gold and silver. Call now for your free gold guide.
800-281-4224. 800-281-4224. 800-281-4224. That's 800-281-4224.
Fox News commentary.
Guess how many days President Joe spent on vacation in 2022? I'm Tommy Lahren, and I'll tell you next.
If I could be you.
And you could be me?
For just 1 hour.
If you could find a way.
To get inside.
Each other's mind.
Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all felt left out. And for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
A good leader can can do a lot of good in 146 days, but not only is President Joe not a good leader, he used 146 days of 2022 to go on vacation. That's right, according to the RNC, he spent roughly 40% of last year out of the office. Not only are we the taxpayers on the hook for that, we also paid to have the $1.7 trillion omnibus spending bill flown to him to sign whilst on his latest vacation in the Virgin Islands. And I thought the Democrats were all about emissions and saving Mother Earth. Weird. You think with all the problems and threats facing this nation, like inflation, gas prices, the border invasion, China, Russia, Iran, and more, our president would put in extra work, but not Joe. Come to think of it, maybe his out-of-the-office Johns aren't so bad given all the horrible things he could do if he worked normal hours or normal work weeks. It's a double-edged sword, folks, and you're on the hook for it either way. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show Tommy Lahren is Fearless on Outkick.com.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
Legal immigration is crazy right now.
News, analysis, opinion.
This United States is not being overrun.
101.9 and 94.1.
It is a crisis at the border without question.
News Talk STL.
When they caught me broken on you.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com.
Looking at one of the comments on Facebook, Gabe, and it just says, "Good morning, Mike Ferguson in the morning show. I hope the House Republicans get their something together today and elect a new speaker."
Well, that would be nice.
That's good. Yeah, there's a lot of people feeling the same way. I'm Mike Ferguson. That's Gabe Pfeiffer there. Got Stella over here. It is 8:21. The House of Representatives failing to vote in a new speaker in the now Republican-controlled chamber, although technically it's not Republican-controlled until everybody is sworn in, and that doesn't happen until a Speaker of the House is elected. Fox News' Rich Edson has the story.
Still no speaker. The House is adjourned and Republicans are trying to figure this all out. Kevin McCarthy says there is no circumstance where he drops out of the speaker's race. He says he's looking for 11 votes to give him one more than Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries. On all three ballots, Jeffries received unanimous support from Democrats. Most Republicans support McCarthy, though a group of largely far-right members has been enough to keep McCarthy from the speakership. The holdouts say they've demanded McCarthy name more conservatives to certain committees and grant commitments on legislation. In one concession, McCarthy has already agreed to lower the threshold to hold a vote to depose a speaker.
Now, supporters of Kevin McCarthy say those who were, obviously dissenting and not supporting him right now are delaying the congressional and the GOP priorities in the chamber. Now, we're going to go into more depth in this at around 8:35, but what you've got right now is a small but big enough group of Congress members, of Republicans, who really have a lot of leverage outsizing their numbers.
Yeah, I think this is one of the kind of cool things about our Democratic Republic is that, a small group can actually make a big splash in certain areas. And in this case, the quote unquote far right, I guess, or the mainstream conservative members of the House can actually have some sort of influence, even though, maybe sort of the middle of the road or even the lefty sort of Republicans have been controlling things for a while. And we've seen where that's gotten us.
I mentioned just kind of in not a throwaway line, but I said, the Republicans they can't seem to get it together, but they have to get it right. Yes. And I went, I think that's a summary of how I think.
That's it
about this whole thing.
Yeah.
So is the easy thing to do is say, all right, this is the consensus pick. This is the party guide. Just do it so we can move on and move forward. But there are others who are saying, we want to make sure that you are sticking to the principles and not capitulating to the left, because where has that gotten the Republican Party over the past however many years?
I mean, that's the main gripe. I thought that was one of the things that was driving at least some of the House flips, the seat flips, was this push towards a true conservatism that actually wants to do something, that really wants to get in there and make reforms. So it kind of behooves the establishment Republican Party to at least give some ground to that groundswell of support that these people are coming in with, right?
I think those folks that are off on the fringe, as
the press seems to be labeling them. I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
I think all of them are waiting for individuals to show some backbone and to really push against what the Democrats have been trying to do, not only just over the last 10 years or so, but Pelosi is essentially still in power for another 9 months or so because of the passing of the omnibus bill. So now I see folks actually pushing back and saying, not only do I not like McCarthy, I don't want McConnell in there, nor McDaniel for that matter. All the McLosers we want out of there. And for me personally, I lean towards them because I'm totally against McConnell. I don't like McCarthy. I like him as a person, but I don't believe he has the backbone. And even though he seems as though he's made some moves to, acquiesce and actually come on board with some of the items that some of us feel he's been wishy-washy on, he's improved over the last couple of months. I still don't trust the guy.
I think a lot of us feel as though the Mick leadership is a lot of empty calories right now, and sometimes gives us the runs.
So you're not McLovin, is what we're talking about this. Okay, so let's go into this a little more depth at 8:35. Okay, I want to kind of dive in head first.
Yeah.
At 8:35, I don't have a prediction on what's going to happen, but I do think there's something to watch for today, and I'll tell you what that is around 8:35. All right, in other news, in Missouri, a Bonne Terre, Scott McLaughlin, the man that the media refers to as Amber McLaughlin, was executed last night, and that sentence was carried out as a result of his admission to and his obviously conviction of the kidnapping, rape, strangling, stabbing, and the murder of his ex-girlfriend, Beverly Gunther, in 2003. The media, by the way, still is fixated on his status as the first so-called transgender woman to be executed in the U.S. And in a related note, Gabe, the media is still adding reasons for us to not take them serious for serious news.
Yes, absolutely.
I thought it was interesting that when Ann Precythe, who is the director of corrections for the state of Missouri, came out to do the press conference to say, this is what happened, the execution happened, time of death, et cetera, she used his actual real legal name, Scott McLaughlin.
Right.
She did not use the name that he wanted to call himself.
Right.
Because I don't believe, if I'm wrong, somebody correct me, 314-912-1019, but I couldn't find that he actually legally changed his name. He just assumed a new identity after he went to prison.
Right. Yeah. I mean, back in the day, if a criminal assumed a new identity, you figured they were on the lam.
Right.
As opposed to, they were trying to identify as something new.
Right. And so the fixation by the media of the trans thing is very, very telling.
Yeah.
And in something this serious, I think it's phenomenally hurtful and disrespectful to the family of the victim in this case, who I think is more important than the cause celeb of one tiny faction of an activist movement.
Absolutely.
At this point.
Now, would it be news if it was not a trans person?
Any execution's news.
Okay.
I think any execution is news and is big news. But I think the big issues get lost in the cartoon aspect of this.
Yeah, the hype here.
Yeah. All right, other things. This happened in Washington, D.C. yesterday.
Do you solemnly swear that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that you take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office you are about to enter, so help you God.
I do.
Congratulations, Senator.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And that is Vice President Kamala Harris administering the oath of office to U.S. Senator Eric Schmidt.
Hey.
And Senator Schmidt.
Yes.
I've known him a long time.
We're
that
boys.
really was not like trying to show off a name dropping. I'm like, oh, yeah, I got to start calling him Senator now.
Yeah.
He tweeted out yesterday that he is I haven't looked this up, but he believes that he is the 2000th member of the U.S. Senate.
Really?
Which would actually be kind of a cool little answer to a trivia question.
Where were the balloons?
No kidding.
There's supposed to be balloons and confetti, right?
Now, as a result of Eric Schmidt taking office in Washington, Missouri also now has a new attorney general. Moments after Eric Schmidt was sworn in to office in Washington, D.C., Andrew Bailey was sworn in as the new attorney general, in Jefferson City. So the wheel of statewide officials and appointments continues in the state of Missouri. All right, the Blues start off 2023 right. They get a 6-5 win over the Maple Leafs. In true 2022-23 season Blues fashion, this one went to overtime and went to a shootout because the Blues seem to be really, really fond of overtime games this season. So now they are one game above 500 as the calendar year part of the schedule kicks off. So they're not out of anything, but they've got a big hill to climb over the next few months in the NHL season. All right, just ahead here, the number 314-912-1019. Speaker of the House, listen, everything that we need to fight back against the Biden administration and the far left has to do with Republicans being able to execute politics, and they can't execute their own internal stuff right now. But is this a good diversion in order to put us in a better position or put them in a better position later on? Let's talk about that. Get your thoughts on it right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I don't care who you are. That's funny right there.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
Thanks for taking my call.
Right here.
You know what's going on?
Have a great awakening.
You see through the smoke screen.
It's cool to be woke.
News Talk STL.
Until it's not.
News, analysis, opinion.
From the News Talk STL newsroom, I'm Joey Vasovich. After Governor Parson declined a clemency request, 49-year-old transgender inmate Amber McLaughlin was put to death yesterday. McLaughlin was convicted of first-degree murder in 2006. A judge sentenced McLaughlin to death after a jury deadlocked on the sentence. Denny Dennis Sporting Goods in Fenton was burglarized for the fourth time in 4 years on Tuesday. Cameras caught 5 thieves around 4 a.m. smashing in the front door and getting away with 7 guns. After getting the door fixed quickly, they were open for business the same day. The St. Louis Water Division issued a boil advisory for parts of North and South City on Tuesday. The Chain of Rocks treatment plant was having issues with its power supply, leading to low water pressure. The areas under the boil advisory are at the highest elevations in the water system. And in sports, in college basketball, Mizzou is in Arkansas tonight to face the Razorbacks. Tip-off is at 7:30. And in hockey, the Blues beat the Maple Leafs 6-5 in a shootout in Toronto last night. Each team scored 3 goals in the second period, with every Blues goal followed by a Toronto goal. Next up, the Blues head to New Jersey to face the Devils tomorrow night. Puck drop is at 6 p.m. And Hall of Fame Blues defenseman Chris Pronger tweeted out support for Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin. 25 years ago, Pronger also went into cardiac arrest during a game. Pronger said that he prays that Damar Hamlin can have the same outcome that he was fortunate to have. For in-depth coverage of these stories and more, go to newstalkstl.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm News 4 meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. After a record-setting temperature yesterday, a cold front overnight dropped temperatures today to more seasonable for this time of year. So we're feeling the January cold, temperatures topping out near 42 degrees, light wind, and overall we'll have partly sunny skies. Now for the next couple of days, we're enjoying a dry weather, but watch the weekend, showers return Saturday. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Hey, it's Tony, and as we get ready to start a new year, all of us here at News Talk STL are so thankful for the amazing growth we've seen in just a year and a half since starting the station, and we love working with great local businesses like Agers Heating and Air Conditioning, Rockwood Charcoal, and Zero Res that have all become a part of our family of advertising partners. If your business is interested in becoming a part of the News Talk STL family, just send us an email to info@newstalkstl.com. 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
For $1 a day, if any covered appliance breaks in your home, we guarantee to fix or replace it. All makes and models, washers, dryers, refrigerators, air conditioners, and more. Guaranteed to be fixed or replaced for $1 a day. Call the Home Service Club now for free information.
800-399-3701. 800-399-3701. 800-399-3701. That's 800-399-3701.
Subscribe and watch your favorite News Talk STL shows. Mike Ferguson in the morning, The Vic Porcelli Show, Columbo and Katie, Jones and Arps. Webcam streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Rumble. Subscribe and watch News Talk STL. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
All right, we're going to find a way to get there. That's at least what the GOP House leadership is saying, particularly that's what Kevin McCarthy is saying after he lost 3 votes yesterday in his bid to become House Speaker. It is 8:36. I'm Mike Ferguson. Gabe is here. Stell is here. Fox News' Sean Langell is not here, but he has this report from Washington, D.C.
House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy says there is no circumstance in which he would consider pulling out of the race for Speaker. McCarthy told reporters late Tuesday night negotiations are ongoing, and he's working to flip 11 votes to win. While McCarthy is getting support from most Republicans, another 20 have voted for other candidates, like Colorado Representative-elect Lauren Boebert, who tells Fox,
"Our candidate is Jim Jordan. He is a fighter. He is a leader."
McCarthy says he has spoken with former President Trump and still has his backing. The House will meet again today at noon. In Washington, Sean Langell, Fox News.
And there's a lot that's interesting on this right here, because at one point, guys, this started off as, okay, some of the members are gonna send a message, but as we referenced just a little bit ago when we were talking with Thomas LeDuc from RedState.com earlier today, and by the way, you want to catch that conversation, definitely check out the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
He pointed out that on that third vote, they went from 19 dissenters to 20.
Oh, yeah, that's
so
right.
I mentioned before that last information segment, I'm not going to make any predictions because this is getting wild, but here's one thing to watch for.
Mm-hmm.
If the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th vote, whatever vote it is, if the number of dissenters starts growing, even by 1 or 2 or 3, that to me is a sign of momentum against McCarthy. And if there are too many who peel away, because the stakes are going to get a little bit higher every single time. And so if just a few of those start to peel off and say, okay, I'm done, Kevin, I think you'll see a scramble for somebody else to become the Speaker of the House.
Absolutely.
Now, whether it's Jim Jordan or Steve Scalise or Andy Biggs or anybody else, I wouldn't even hazard to guess on that. But I think that's what you look for, is where does the momentum go? The Democrats and Hakeem Jeffrey, they have a set number of votes, no more, no less. That's not going to change. He's not getting elected Speaker of the House.
Right.
They're just going to enjoy the ride of their guy being in first place in the vote total for as long as this goes.
Sure, yeah.
But
laugh it up.
Republicans are going to have to figure on somebody. But if it starts going the trend line, and still, I don't think it has to be 10, 20, 30, 40. I think just 2 or 3 who peel off, if that were to happen, shows that the momentum is going that way, and that could doom things for McCarthy. Conversely, if you start to see fewer and fewer dissenters after a couple of votes, I think at that point it's a matter of making the final negotiations. He's going to get elected.
I agree with you. And the one point that makes me cringe a little bit is with Jeffries and the Democrats. That's all that the nominal voter is going to see, the nominal political followers are going to see on MSNBC, CNN, legacy media, ABC, NBC, CBS. All of those clips are going to be all from the Democratic side.
Mhm.
And that's kind of what bothers me, because it's not giving any equal exposure to what folks are doing on the Republican side.
Yeah, here's what Hakeem Jeffries had to say to your point, Stell. This goes along with what you're just pointing out. Here's what the media is going to be showing. Here's what those voters are going to hear.
We're ready, willing, and able to get to work on behalf of the American people, but we don't have a partner on the other side of the aisle.
I don't want you to have a partner on the other side of the aisle, dude.
Yeah, no cooperation.
No,
nothing. You get nothing. You lose, sir. Good day. If you caught that reference,
I do. Willy Wonka.
We're now friends.
That's right.
Oh man, yeah. Does anybody who voted for a Republican in 2022 want Hakeem Jeffries to have a partner in the majority?
Definitely not.
No.
Right.
I
Exactly.
agree. Yes.
So
Yep.
you can complain about it all you want, but no. We're taking care of our internal business now. You sit in the corner and complain.
Yeah. Here's the thing: is the control of Congress swings back and forth. Democrats will be in control again of the House someday.
Yes.
Maybe 2024, maybe 2026, maybe 2028, maybe 2030. Someday they're going to have control again, because that's how it works. Hakeem Jeffries will be the Speaker of the House someday, which is why it's really crucial that with this tiny little majority, Republicans put up as many roadblocks as possible to stop him from taking this country even farther to extreme left-wing ideology and policy, which is exactly what he wants to do.
And to be honest with you, that's what Pelosi worked with.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For the past few years. Just a very minimal portion of Congress, and she was able to push all this stuff through because she's a dictator.
Well, you look at the future of the Democratic Party, and I would say look at who are the upwardly mobile Democrats in Congress right now. Hakeem Jeffries, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I think you look at the squad.
Mhm.
I think you look at in the U.S. Senate, you look at like Cory Booker. I think you look at Gavin Newsom. I think you look at these people who, in political terms, are young and up and coming, and they are extremists.
Yes.
The old Democratic Party of Dick Gephardt and Ike Skelton and John F. Kennedy are long, long gone.
Tip O'Neill.
Tip O'Neill, absolutely. The stories of Tip O'Neill and Ronald Reagan's friendship are just like warms the chambers of your heart.
Mm-hmm.
But what you've got here is the Democratic Party being driven by these absolute extremists. Now, I don't believe that the majority of Democratic voters in the country are on board with that. Maybe the majority of the younger ones, but I think the blue-collar people who've always voted Democrat, mom and dad voted Democrat, grandma and grandpa voted Democrat, maybe because they all worked at the factory or whatever, I don't think they're that far left. I think there are still intrinsic values that we all relate to still within that voter bloc, and they're going to have a choice to make. Do you keep voting for this extremist leftist ideology, or do you reconsider? And I don't know what that answer is going to be.
And I think on a positive side, we have the Hispanic and black communities who have been moving over to the Republican side because they're ticked off at the way Democrats have handled everything over the past few years.
But as much as we've seen movement in the electorate, are we going to see any movement in the actual representatives themselves? Because the Democrats hold the line on all of their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And usually what happens is that because we're such a split government, it hinges on Republican defectors, and Democrats almost never have defectors. So even if we get the Republican majority, we need a super majority basically in order to overcome our own defectors.
Right.
That's the thing that always gets me is like, well, how are we able to manage this? How are the Democrats able to manage where they keep in line so much and also pulls from the other side, and we can't get that ever.
Yeah, that's the whole backbone issue.
Yeah.
The Democrats have it, Republicans don't, and that's why, personally, I want to see McConnell and McCarthy out of there because I don't sense that there's any backbone there to push back against what Democrats want.
Okay, so in looking for that backbone and looking for that united front, now you still, if you're in united front without any principles, I would argue it doesn't matter that much anyway.
True.
But after this knockdown drag out for Speaker, can the Republican Party reassemble and have that united front?
I would like to think so, but we haven't seen it, or at least I don't feel like I've seen it in my experience of watching government for however long that is. I don't know.
Because on the Democratic side, besides the squad and the ones that you mentioned, Mike, you've got Klobuchar and Elizabeth Warren and that other group that's kind of in the middle, and they are also able to establish, the focus that they have. And it kind of meshes together with everybody else. And as you guys said, it really pushes the Democratic Party into what they want to do. And you're right, Gabe. I don't know if the Republicans are going to be able to put everything together to show the backbone that we need.
I mean, I remember having similar conversations about the Democratic Party being splintered because of, your typical Democrats from like the 90s kind of Democrats, and then, of course, the new lefty sort of Democrats. And I remember having those discussions. Oh, my gosh, there's there seems to be a fight for the soul of the Democrat Party. Well, it doesn't matter when it comes time to vote because they all vote the same way.
And guess who's lurking in the background? Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
And who knows what she's going to be doing over the next year or so. But my suspicion is I think we're going to hear some stuff from her.
She's trying to put her kind of tentacles back out in there. And so far, even Democrats have said, you've had your time. So I think they're looking for somebody else. All right, 314-912-1019. Okay, while the music is playing, real quick.
Yes.
Have any of the good guys in the comic books had internal fights and then united to fight the bad guys?
Yes, that's like every single time.
Okay, there you go. See, I knew Gabe would know. Right. 314-912-1019. The football player hopefully just near tragedy. We'll give you the update on the condition of the player who collapsed on the field after a hit, not even that hard of a hit, and what it means from here on out, right here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
I need your love. You got that hold over me.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I got your love. You know that I'll never leave.
Columbo and Katie.
Wednesday is the first day of the 2023 Missouri legislative session, and Jones and Arps will be live from the state capitol at 3:30. We'll get you ready by talking to Rodney Boyd, Virginia Kruta, and opening Close's cabinet.
Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Hey guys, Columbo here, reminding you that if you belong to an organization like a school or a church, or your kids are part of a group or a sports team that needs to raise money, there's no better way to do so than with a TJ's Pizza fundraiser. TJ's Pizza has been helping local organizations raise money for over 30 years to the tune of tens of millions of dollars. A local company helping local people, and there's lots of different ways TJ's can help you raise big money fast. Get started now at tjspizza.com.
Ackerman Toyota, where you get timely service, a helpful staff, and Ackerman for life at 44 in Hampton. Plus, Ackerman Toyota, proud to be a sponsor of Larry Connors USA, starting January 9, right here on News Talk STL.
Is your retirement income at risk if you or your spouse needs nursing home or in-home care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money, Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL 1019. The cost of long-term care is one of the biggest risks in retirement planning. For many retirees, a single nursing home stay can cause a significant reduction in assets that can permanently reduce your retirement income. Fortunately, there are affordable and flexible options available today that can help you manage the cost of long-term care. Our team can help you address the risks relevant to your retirement, including long-term care. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
St. Louis's place to talk.
the American people have further lost faith in our governmental institutions.
People can decide what they want and how they want to live.
News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Follow us on Getter at News Talk STL.
I've been pretty open on the fact that I stopped following the NFL years ago.
Yeah.
When they kind of got all political and stuff like that. But that has nothing to do with the story I think the entire country is talking about right now regarding Buffalo Bills player Hamlin. Damar Hamlin. So Fox News' Jeff Manasso has an update on his condition.
Damar Hamlin's uncle tells the NFL Network that Hamlin remains sedated, in intensive care, and critical condition, but that he's gone from 100% to 50% oxygen needed on a ventilator.
Praying the prayer of faith. Eternal Father in heaven, we come to you once again, only way we know how.
Football fans gathering outside the Cincinnati hospital, where we also learned Hamlin had to be resuscitated a second time Monday night. Still no definitive word on why the Bills' safety's heart stopped. His family also thanking fans across the country for their prayers, love, and donations. Hamlin's Foundation's toy drive with a goal of $2,500. At last check has raised over $6 million since Monday night. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
And that is, I think, a symptom of people who just want to do something, but you don't know what you can do, but you can give $25 or $50 to his charity.
Right.
And that's great. That's all great. This is being called a cardiac arrest that happened. And, we've seen a lot of cardiologists to go on television and on social media are giving a lot of different explanations as to what could happen. So I saw the play. I went and looked up the play. Not a particularly unusual play.
No, not at all.
It was. I think yesterday I said running back. It was a wide receiver or tight end that caught a short pass, and then Hamlin. He went to tackle him. The guy dropped his shoulder. Exactly what you're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And he hit him basically right on the left side of the chest,
right.
Which is obviously where your heart is. So it apparently kind of got underneath the pads. And so there are a lot of things that could happen. They say sometimes if there's an impact at just a very certain time of the rhythm of your heart that something like this can happen. They might find some underlying health condition. They don't know. But the bottom line is you got a 24-year-old guy, and that actually jumped out at me. Stell and Gabe. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I've got a daughter who's 24 and a son who's 26.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, oh my gosh, I can only imagine that.
Oh, yeah.
And so you're reminded that, life is very, very fragile.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a little bit of a struggle to keep the conversation about this hopefully just near tragedy. Hopefully it doesn't become a tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to keep the conversation kind of on the rails with everything going on in society right now.
Well, that's because Twitter is trying to push it off the rails. But go ahead.
Yeah,
I don't mean to interrupt.
A lot of people trying
Yes.
to put it because, what we know is that it was either, a freak accident, maybe an underlying health. Who knows? But you see, speculating doesn't do any good on it. But I do think it's encouraging to see how so many people are kind of rallying around this one young person
Yes.
who has suffered this.
And he went through a tough childhood. He lost about 4 or 5 friends to violence when he was a kid. Had a good high school career, had his scholarship to Pitt, played well at Pitt, got drafted highly, and here he is, a 24-year-old safety. And you have to sit back and wonder, is there a health issue like a Len Bias, Hank Gathers, Pete Maravich type of situation where all of a sudden we find out that there was heart arrhythmia or something else that caused the problem. I remember as a kid, because, I'm a little older than you guys, I go back to 1971 when I believe it was the Detroit Lions had a player die on the field playing the Bears. And I grew up with the Bears, so that's why I remember the story specifically.
Sure.
And issues like that have happened off and on. But today we have the companion issue of whether there was a jab involved.
Right.
Yeah. And if anybody comes out and says anything, all of a sudden there's pushback from everybody on Twitter. And I don't think that's fair at all. Charlie Kirk got totally pushed back for a very innocuous statement that he made, just questioning, hey, could there be something else?
Yeah, we don't have any evidence to show there's anything related. So I think we need to be.
Wait a minute, though. The Bills made a big deal about the fact that they were a 100% compliant team in the NFL. They were at the top of the list as far as an NFL team saying, well, everybody needs to get the jab on the team. And that's why I'm saying, hey, wait a minute here. Buffalo's the one who made a big deal out of this, and now we have a player who's a Bill, and nobody can say anything because the political narrative is incorrect.
I don't think it's a political narrative.
I think it is.
I think
the pushback. I meant to say, the pushback.
Yeah, I
think
left. There's been so much reckless speculation on a lot of things.
See, I don't think it's reckless. I saw interviews with Dr. Malone, Dr. McCullough, Lopez, and some others, and all I'm saying is, why can't people make a comment and question and say, wait a minute here, maybe there is something else? Nobody's trying to throw blame around. We're just trying to say, hey, is it possible that there's something else? That's all I'm saying.
I just think time to ask that question just isn't right now until we get more information.
Okay. I disagree, but that's fine.
Yeah.
I totally understand. And I don't think anybody from my perspective is trying to say anything to disparage what happened, and everybody's pulling for him and praying for him. But I just find it I just find it tough that all of a sudden everybody on the left says, "Oh no, you can't question anything." Well, wait a minute, maybe there is something here. Let's at least talk about it.
Primarily, my appreciation is of the rallying portion of the whole thing, where
Right.
people are saying,
Yes.
okay, I'm on Twitter and here and there. They've got the hashtag going, the all that good stuff. So hopefully we'll find out what it is, so then all the questions can be answered. I mean that's really the thing. When the questions are left unanswered, I think that causes people a lot of consternation. So hopefully the answers will come, and then we can stop all of the craziness.
Because I think back to when Hank Gathers and Len Bias died from heart issues, and yes. Could have been.
Yeah, I mean, it's fact of the matter is that athletes work at a different level, and things affect them in very, very different ways. I would say them, because even though I still play old man baseball, I joke. My wife's like, "Well, you're still an athlete." I'm like, "I'm not an athlete. I'm a baseball player."
Yeah, 24-year-old NFL player at the top of his game.
Precisely. So you never, the focus. I think if something that finally has united people is let's enjoy or let's appreciate being united, at least for the moment, especially in an absence of anything that says otherwise.
Right.
At this point. All right. Vic Porcelli coming your way here in about 13 minutes or 12 minutes or so, right here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. Larry Connors. Starting on Monday, I'm just going to keep saying that, keep reminding you.
It's kind of a big deal.
Because a lot of people were thinking, hey, when Chris and Tim are done with their show, all right, yeah, we got, Joe Pag's got some great programs to come. But no, we have more local programming that we're adding come Monday. I think everybody knows that now, because, man, does that create a buzz around St. Louis and in the media as well. So looking forward to that. Larry Connor is going to be on this program with us tomorrow, talking about what's in store for 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
John Michael Montgomery. Live. The multiple Grammy, CMA, and ACM award winner. John Michael Montgomery with McBride and the Ride. Friday, October 20th at the Family Arena. Reserved seats on sale Friday at 10 a.m. at the Carroll House box office located at the Family Arena, or ticket